want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's stuff.
Hi, Matthew. It's Judge Janine, and I wanted to congratulate you on the Don't Unfriend Me show at the DUM Show. I was thinking about that whole thing the other day when I thought it was right after Donald Trump was elected that everybody on the left started unfriending anyone on the right. So I'm glad you're calling them out. You've got a great name for this show. And I hope that you're true to the values, conservative values, Republican values, and that you call those people out. I think it's great. And I know you've got 135,000 followers. I hope you get a lot more. And just keep the faith. Keep fighting. I think we may get America back. But in the meantime, we've got a steep hill to climb. And you're one of the fighters, one of the patriots. So thank you for what you're doing.
Good evening, everybody. We've got Amy in the house. We have Leroy in the house, and we have somebody else in the background. Somebody else in the background say hello.
Hello, dummies.
Yes, this is Olivia. Olivia is now on the show. She's going to be joining us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Friday will always be on time at 8 o'clock. Monday and Wednesday might be a little bit later because she believes that she still has to take care of the kids who are almost in their teens. But we will continue to try to stop her from feeling that way and be here with the real children of the audience, which are the dummies. Amy, tell everyone who you are. What do you do? Who is your daddy? What does he do?
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Robinson. I live right down the road from Matt and Olivia. I live in Northern Virginia, and I'm a real estate agent here in the beautiful state of Northern Virginia. It's great.
Outstanding. And you got a cool dumb hat, so that's always nice.
And a cool sweatshirt.
Where can they get those?
Today. You can get them at online at thedumshow.com. And you can get yourself one of these sweet shirts. These are freaking awesome. I mean, awesome.
The DUM Show, folks. Thedumshow.com, where you can get shirts and hats and coffee and also listen to the podcast, listen to the show, also see the show if you would like. And that's important. It's all made by veterans, except for the shirts, but that's okay. Everything else, we give 10% back to the Travis Manion Foundation. We also have some blog entries there, so you can go and peruse and read if that's your bag, baby. It's my bag, baby. It's standing. The other guy.
Yeah, before Leroy goes, really quick, I'm sorry, but while I'm thinking of it, so I ran into someone locally who's really good friends with one of the speakers of CPAC recently. They're having an event. I think it's next Saturday. I'll send you the invite. I'm sure I can bring a +1, and Jason has no interest. So I was going to say if you wanted to go, it's a conservative event. And so just.
Hell yes.
Good way to. I think it's in Purcellville, so
I would love to go. I would love to go. Absolutely. Unlike some presidential candidates, I'm willing to go to CPAC. I'm not afraid.
Right.
Leroy, what's going on, Bubba? Tell everyone about you. I'm good, man. Tell everyone about
you. Well, folks, my name is Leroy Jenkins, and I am a former Navy. I'm a veteran as well. I used to do very much what Matt did. And I live in Dayton, Ohio. I still work a little bit in the industry. And past that, I'm just happy to be here. I have an opinion on everything, and I hope it aligns with what most people want. And I love the dummies. So
I don't care if you like what I say, honestly. So I'm just going to say, that's Leroy's bag, not mine. I just don't care. So
that's my bag, baby.
That's my bag, baby. Yeah. Yes. Shagadelic. This is Olivia. Olivia, don't tell everyone about you and what you do here on the DUM Show, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm the background voice to add some, I guess,
spice to the show.
Sure. You spice some spice.
I don't know.
That it?
That's it.
You're
Not
the
much.
weather girl. You're
Yeah.
basically the weather
I'm
girl.
like Vanna White.
You're not Vanna White. Vanna White's seen. You're the Robin Quivers.
There we go. I'm Robin Quivers.
So Robin Quivers. Folks, if you want to call in, 1-804-504-1955. We'd love to have you on the call. You might hear some soundboard-esque type stuff from Olivia, and she'll obviously help us through and peruse the show. So if there's anything we need to find that possibly could be an article, or if there's some breaking news, she'll chime in and help us get there. Let's see. Tonight, did a show on Ben Shapiro. We will talk about that, but first, I want to dive into chat, see what the Dumb Nation's doing. And as soon as I can get all the cameras fixed from last time, I got to have a reset button. My Lord. Folks, if you want to call in, it's as simple as calling in at 804-504-1955. We'll get to you as soon as we can. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer because we might have someone else on the line, but we will do our damnedest to get you on and ready to go. Chat-wise, Olivia, who do we got on?
Oh gosh, everyone's here. Lee Houston's here, of course. Jason's here. Hi, Jason.
Well, Ashley says hello. Olivia, can you wake up tonight?
Yes, I can.
Here, do me a favor. Just go brrrr and shake off all the boringness that's going on inside your soul right now. And just like, okay, everybody. So I've got Sweaty Winger. He's here.
And I see Billy, and I see Joey, and Julia.
Oh my God, let's use the magic mirror, everyone. I see. Can we get some energy going on?
It takes a little bit of time to switch from mom mode.
Okay, let's switch into mom mode because we're doing a live show. I don't know if you know that. James is here. Hello, folks. Rough Times says sup. Okay. Dawn says I'm here. Live live off on a Monday night and looking forward to enjoy the show. Good. Thomas, hello. Isaac, Nate, Michelle, Dottie, Terry. Jason says prime time. Prime time is actually the head coach of the Colorado Buffalo. Should be an interesting turnaround. Jason Smith, Carol, Brenda, Ramon, Maureen, Judy, hello. Nate, hello. Charity is on here. Sandra. Charity said that moms are going to take care of the kids, blah, 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 even when she's 50. Yeah. Well, dads do too, okay? But they need some separation once in a while. It's okay. She gives from 6 a.m. till 11 o'clock at night to these kids. And she's now taking a half hour and saying, I'm going to start doing the show. And I think it's great. And I think she needs to. And I think she deserves it. Then she can get back in the kitchen and bake me a pie. But for now, she can come on the show. Maureen, hi. Carl, Jason Hyde. I haven't seen Jason Hyde in a while. Kristen, hello. Amy, Deidre, Nate, Thomas.
I thought that Olivia was set up in the kitchen with her mic.
She is. It's a long wire. I just wanted to make it sound better than it was. Do you guys want to see Olivia?
The typical mom voice in my house sounds like the drill instructor from Full Metal Jacket,
Yeah.
Olivia doesn't have that going on, though.
No.
Oh,
She seems
it
a lot
depends.
more...
It depends on what the kids are doing and how mad they make me. I can get there.
There you go.
So, let's see. Can I get this thing going? Well, that's supposed to be working. I got to connect to the camera. Hold on. Show source. We're not going to show you. Relax. Why are you so nervous? Okay, I can't show her. Anyway, she's like right here. She's behind everything. She's got her own little desk. And I have the chain that's on the wall. And I can slide her some food. And if she puts the lotion on her skin, she doesn't get the hose again.
That's right.
So it's, it's important, hydration, folks. It's important for your skin. Tom. Hello, Tom. Nate is here. Charity said, a mom has certain responsibilities. When they're 50 years old, Olivia will still be looking after them. Well, that's 2 more years. So let's hope that it,
She met the kids, dear.
The kids.
Not me.
The kids are going to be 50?
You said that's a couple years away from now.
Yeah, when you're 50. Yeah, you're going to be 50 in a couple of years.
You need to put a slap sound effect on here.
There is
we
a
need
slap
to find
sound.
one. I can't find it.
There is a slap sound. Okay, whatever. Amy says hello. Lee says hello. Evans, I don't know who that is. Rough Times, we've already said that. Deidre, Donna, CJ. Wow, we got a lot of people on. Oh,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah,
No, it kind of died on. I lied. It died on the vine. All right. So tonight we're talking about a couple of different things. Now, I did record a show. Cindy says you are so generous. I think so, Cindy. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I mean, some men. I let my wife have a Pepsi on our anniversary versus a glass of water. You know, it's like, hey, I'll give her a Pepsi. It's our anniversary.
What a heart of gold.
Yeah, you know, I was just trying to be a nice guy, you know, because listen, you don't need to be a man 365 days a year. For that one day that's special, you know, the day that she married me, I got to recognize her with a Pepsi. I'll even get her a maraschino cherry.
You give her a pair of socks.
No, because as we know in the Harry Potter world, if you give your slave clothing, they're free. So I can't give her clothes. So she just runs around naked.
Just on Christmas.
That's pretty much we're very happy with that. So that's just pretty much it. So if you ever come over to the Spear household, just take a look. We let her put clothes on then because we don't want anyone calling the police or something. So, all right. So Ben Shapiro. Okay. First of all, anyone here seen The Last of Us?
No, but everyone keeps talking about it, so I feel like a loser.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I heard it's great.
right.
Everyone's obsessed with it.
So, look at the James Clemens comment. Hold on. Everyone wants me. See, Olivia, you missed it. Oh, holy shit. Do you want to do this?
Let me
Liv?
find it. Let me find it.
It's, yeah. Well, here, I'll just put it up on the screen and I'll read it because it'll be easier. It says, I just thought I would let you all know that I got accepted into the Army. I'm just waiting for paperwork to come through. Then I'll be going to MEPS, but they'll be sending me to schooling program in South Carolina in the Army so I can take the ASVAB over again for a better job. My recruiter said it was a new program that was implemented. James, that is freaking fantastic news, man. I remember that you called in.
James.
Congratulations.
Do we got some congratulations there, Olivia? I'm sure.
let me look.
I mean, remember your soundboard. I mean, I worked my ass off on this thing and slaved over it for days, and you haven't even used it once. So, do we have? There we go. Outstanding. Do you know how much better that feels that I don't have to do that? So, yeah. So I'm going to give you a bit of advice, James. When you go in, make sure that you're comfortable with your first name. Find the Lighten Up Francis one. So, Lighten Up Francis. Because when you're in the Army, it's really important that you're comfortable with your name, because what you don't want is when you're sitting in the circle where you're all telling, this is about week 4 or 5, where you'll sit down with your drill instructor and you guys will be in a circle and you'll have a conversation. And they'll tell you a little bit about your home, like maybe Mary Sue's back waiting for you in Williamsburg. And then you got, oh man, my girlfriend is a surfer and she's in California, man. I can't wait to be with her. You'll have this conversation. You'll all introduce yourself. And if you're not comfortable with your name, something like this can happen to you.
The name's Francis Sawyer. But everybody calls me Psycho. Any of you guys call me Francis, and I'll kill you. You just made the list, buddy. And I don't like nobody touching my stuff. So just keep your meat hooks off. If I catch any of you guys in my stuff, I'll kill you. Also, I don't like nobody touching me. Now, any of you homos touch me, and I'll kill you.
Lighten up, Francis.
All right. So, so James, that's the best advice. James, if it's okay with you, James, I don't know if you have a significant other, and in this day and age, I certainly don't want to ask since we're talking about Last of Us. So boyfriend, girlfriend, or vehicle, or rainbow spotted unicorn, whatever it is, I'd like to buy you guys dinner. So please do me a favor and pick a restaurant that has gift cards. Let me know which one it would be. And Olivia and I will be buying you guys dinner before you ship out, because God knows you're going to have shitty meals for the rest of your fucking life. So figure out.
Lee just called out your Navy nickname.
What do you call me? Semen sperm?
Sperm, semen sperm.
That's okay. I didn't know Lee knew how to spell, so that all works out in everybody's benefit. So now that we've done that, Lee, you're so mean to me. So mean to me. James says I have a wife. Well, good. Like I said, I didn't want to assume. I'd love to buy your wife and you dinner. So do me a favor, pick a restaurant, Don't care which restaurant. Pick one, and we'll get you guys a gift card to that. We'll buy you guys dinner. Okay. Congratulations, brother. I'm proud of you. So, Last of Us. Lee, what's that?
That's generosity. You're a good man.
Well, we're broke, so it doesn't. I figured we're one step into the poorhouse anyway. We might as well just go ahead and make it complete, right, Liv?
Yep.
Okay. So now that we've established Last of Us, James says you're making my wife laugh. Well, that's good. You deal with the rest of those things. I'll make her laugh. You go ahead and make her feel everything else. Olivia, do I make you laugh?
Depends.
What does this have to do with adult diapers? What did Lee say?
He said I can spell gooder than I was.
Yeah, that's about right for Lee. Mike says, "Hey Matt, Leroy, Amy, Olivia, and the dummies. How's everyone doing tonight? What did I miss?" Well, we're talking about Last of Us. All right, so Leroy's seen it. Olivia?
We just started it last night or 2 nights ago, and we're on episode 4, I think.
Okay.
Amy?
I'm a nerd who doesn't watch a lot of TV, but I promise I'm going to watch this one. Everyone's talking about it. All my mom friends, everybody. So I got to watch it. It's on Prime, right?
No,
Apple.
HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Okay.
HBO Max.
We have that.
So
we'll watch it.
So let me give you a little history here. We're going to watch the video of tonight's show because, first of all, it's not going to get posted until after the live show. Whenever I do that, I have to play it. Plus, I'm 4 nights without a recorded show. But I think it's going to open up some interesting conversation, and I'm assuming everyone will appreciate it. And if you don't, I don't care. So really what this video game is to me is it happened in a very transformative time in my life. And I was going through back surgeries. I had just lost the podcast. I had lost my job at Apple because of back surgeries and time off and couldn't go back to work in that environment. It was just crazy. It was a crazy time for me. And this game is the unicorn of games. Now, what that means is every time you go to a convention, a video game convention, they'll be like, "Hey, is there a unicorn?" And a unicorn is an 11, right? It's not even on the 10 scale because it's so good. It's like kind of like the Colorado Avalanche last year. There's every other team, and then there's the Avs. So, and that's really the truth. This year it's a little bit different, but anyway. So this game, Last of Us, was incredible. It had one. I mean, I cried at the story multiple times. I'm not kidding. Playing the game, and I just emotional, man. It just created a ton of emotion. It was beautifully written. Plus, it's an amazing game. Great story. So when I heard that they were, I'll tell you how good it is. We sat around the couch and watched the cutscenes of the video game, and somebody spliced them together on YouTube, and we watched it as a movie. That's how good it was.
Wow.
So it's honestly, the TV show is absolutely identical to the game with some twists. So Chris Morris says, "Love having your wife on the show. So mysterious."
Mysterious? I wouldn't call me mysterious.
Yeah,
I just don't like to be on camera.
Unless she's being paid, right? So I mean, that's important. So unless there's money involved, like if someone came and said, "We want you to be on the show, we want to pay you money," would you do it?
No.
Well, shouldn't you say it depends on how much the money is?
Right. That would have been my first question.
Yeah. Right. How much is this? And what do I have to do on camera? If there's a donkey involved, it needs to be more than $25 an hour. I don't think we have a horse.
Silence!
Do you have a horse?
I kill you.
Wow. It's violent. All right. I guess Olivia doesn't want to talk about that anymore. So moving on. This is a really good game. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch this show because I think it's important to do so. We're going to watch that. We're going to get kind of the thing going. We're going to try to do a hard stop, 9:30, 10 o'clock latest, and give people this. Days Gone. Days Gone, hands down, is probably the second best game ever made. Days Gone, but it's a sleeper. It didn't do anything close to Last of Us. It was a beautiful attempt. It was better after it was patched, but also a very good story, very emotional, great game. Days Gone was fantastic. All right, so we're going to go ahead and show the show, and then the game is called Last of Us. If you have not played it, people are asking, and we're going to go into this tonight and watch the video. I hope that everybody appreciates it because I don't go after Ben Shapiro very often, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of go after Ben just a little bit tonight. And I was gentle. I'll be honest with you. I was gentle. Okay. Are we all ready? Any questions? Any comments? Any concerns? Ready. Here we go.
I'm ready.
Good evening, Don't Unfriend Me Nation. Episode 454 of the Don't Unfriend Me Show. My name is Matthew Spear. I'm the host of Don't Unfriend Me. Sorry I've been absent a couple of nights. We had some live shows that went long, so I took a break, but I'm back, and I want to go ahead and talk to you about something that I saw about Ben Shapiro a couple of weeks ago. Is he did a show in regards to the video game and TV show Last of Us. Now, this is drummed up some controversy. And the controversy is that it's probably one of the most highly regarded TV shows of all time. And it has an amazing score on Rotten Tomatoes, an amazing audience score, and it's well received by most people. Now, anyone who's played the Last of Us games knows absolutely that the TV show steps lockstep in line with the game. They do an excellent job of transferring with a new take and a new spin, something that was already gold, because the games are renowned and heralded as the best video game. Now I'm talking the unicorn, right? If you're not a video game player, there's the fabled unicorn. Every time you would go to the convention each year, you'd say, is there a unicorn? Is there a unicorn? And we saw that with Halo. We saw that with Grand Theft Auto. And these were great games, but they weren't unicorns. Last of Us was. It was graphically, storyline, gameplay, suspense. It had something for everyone, just like Empire Strikes Back. The movie is heralded as one of the best, most complete movies of all time. Last of Us was one of the best games. Now, I do dabble in video games. Yes, I'm an adult, but however, my back surgery, I didn't have a lot to do, so video games became something that I would peruse in, but I also loved them as a kid. You can say I was a nerd gone jock, gone back to a little bit of both, but the interesting thing about this is Ben Shapiro decided to take it on. And I don't disagree with Ben on much. I love his perspective. I think he is a very articulate and astute person. But here we vehemently disagree. And I think Ben, giving him credit, because I'm not going to cut up his show and only show you the things that make my points sound good, but I'm going to go ahead and say how he automatically was a little self-deprecating and kind of knew that he was stepping into the proverbial dog caca when he did this, and he got blown up for it. We're going to talk about it right now. Stick around, whether you agree or disagree. This is what it's about. There's no growth in the comfort zone. If this makes you feel weird, that's okay. That's what it's designed to do. It's not always about being comfortable, but remember, we're not going to show anything that the kids can't see or anything else. We'll keep it respectful and PG. I will be right back after this message from the Hodge twins.
Oh, I love it.
Hey, Hodge twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spear at his podcast at the DUM Show and his website.
To it, let's get into the video with Ben Shapiro. Once again, want to walk through this step by step with you.
Okay, time for a thing that I hate.
All right. Probably not the best way to start off when you're going to talk about LGBTQ and this whole woke culture and how it's put in a video game and it's put in a movie and it doesn't correlate and it doesn't make sense, because we know that's what he's going to say and how he's going to say it. But interesting is that when you start off saying things that I hate, Ben does not hate LGBTQ people. That's certainly not what he is trying to say. These are things that bother him, and obviously it's a clever title, because things that bother me, though I do not hate you and believe in your individual rights to do what you want in the privacy of your own bedroom, is too long of a frickin' title. Let's cut him some slack.
Okay, so we are going to steer into some dicey waters here. I'm about to criticize an episode of the TV show, The Last of Us. So I'm going to say right up front, HBO's The Last of Us, right? This is the one that stars Pedro Pascal, and it's really well produced, written by Craig Mazin, who's super talented.
This is what's known as begging the question. Ben doesn't do this often. So obviously, I don't think he feels like he's on solid ground here. That's just my perception watching him for years. When you have to placate and you have to say, okay, now listen, first of all, I've got a lot of gay friends, which I do. I have a ton. But it doesn't necessarily mean I agree everything with the rainbow flag and the LGBTQ community. In fact, I think a lot of the stuff that they do is pretty bitchy and needs to stop. But Ben doesn't get right into it. He obviously has to massage everybody. And that's okay, because he has a very wide and broad audience. However, I think his audience understands his point and automatically. Folks, whenever we do the show, people get confused. Why are there two Matts? I don't understand what's going on, dude. Dude, what's going on? I don't understand. What's going on? Why is there two Matts? Oh my God. Oh my God. What is he cloned? Is he a lizard? What's going on? So we black and white it so you understand that we're here watching the video with you, and essentially we don't believe in color, and we believe that everybody's equal. So we remove color from our. We're black and white, okay?
I love it.
Did you want to chime in?
I just love the black and white. I love not to be like focusing on myself. I love how this looks on me.
I love the way I look. Leroy, are you here still? Leroy. Whoops. It weakens his position, in my opinion. But he does admit that he doesn't really know what he's talking about when it comes to the history of Last of Us. And I think that's important, that this is just his gut reaction off of watching a couple of episodes.
He's the one who was behind Chernobyl. Okay, so first, the things about this series that are good. And again, preface, I've never played the game. So don't care about the game. Don't care about how true it is to the game. There are lots of gamers out there. You want to watch their videos on the correlation between the game and the show. That's
Good
fine.
point.
I'm just watching it as a piece of pure TV entertainment. Okay, I'm coming from, I don't care what's canon. I don't care what's not canon. Just coming at it from the view of a TV viewer. So I'm just going to say that right up front. That is not my particular purview. I don't play video games.
At that point, this is probably where Ben should stop. Because what you just did is undercut your entire argument. You basically said, I don't know anything I'm talking about, the history, the entomology of this game. I don't understand where it originated from. I don't understand what it's about. I don't even understand the complexity of the virus that's in the game. No, it's not COVID. And that will leave you in a position to make some very serious mistakes, because his premise that this is a zombie game, and that's okay, because, or a zombie show, is really easily to consider, but that has nothing to do with the show. In fact, it's completely secondary when you play the games and you understand the ending of the show. I think if he continued to watch it, he will probably reflect and go, oh shit, I missed this point because I didn't wait for the show to end. I had a visceral reaction to seeing two gay guys on TV and I jumped to conclusions. And that's okay, because we all did when we played the game, especially back in 2013, 14, when this came out, was very uncomfortable, different than it is today. I know that's only 10 years, but trust me, we've come a long way in 10 years, or at least we like to think we have.
Because I'm not a child.
Oh,
I know.
I forgot this part. You know what? Good rib. Honestly, video games are not usually designed for adults, although that's not necessarily true. He's a Star Wars fan. Ben Shapiro is a Battlestar Galactica fan. He is a nerd a little bit. So am I. He can sit here and pretend he's not, but he even makes a reference to Battlestar Galactica later. Trust me when I say this, Ben's just trying to be machismo and butch up a little bit.
Oh, I'm just joking. Lots of good people play video games. Okay, in any case. Okay, it's a show about a zombie apocalypse that essentially arises because fungi go viral, essentially, and take over people's brains and turn them into zombies.
Which is crazy if you don't know this. There's actually a fungi that does this with insects.
Yeah.
It's non-transferable to humans yet. Dun, 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 dun. But it's a very interesting, if you haven't looked at it, there's a... Olivia, what is the name of this fungi? And it's like mycopes, because lycanthrope in the derivative of the word is basically werewolf. That's what a lycanthrope is. So I want to say it's like mycothope or mycothopic or some sort of fungi or algae that does
use
this.
A couple of different examples in the show.
Yeah. But it is real, and it's insane what they do to ants, and it's actually quite terrifying, the premise of this. And you got to give a zombie show credit that isn't a zombie show and takes a completely different twist and makes it about something as benign as mushrooms. I mean, come on. Liv, what have we found out so far? Livia's mic's off. She's concentrating. She's going to let us know.
I want to say that during the course of the show, I heard them use the word like Vasilium or something along those lines.
Yeah, something to that effect.
Which happens to be like one of the types of fungus that will invade like an ant. Was the organism used as an example in the show? It would take over the brain, and then this thing basically becomes a zombie.
Cordyceps, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, that was another one, yeah.
Cordyceps fungus takes over, and this is great. You guys can see it on screen right now. That was provided by Olivia, and she brought it to my screen. How freaking cool is technology? Look at that. She found it. It's right here. We've got pictures. Here's the fungus.
I'll be right back, guys.
You're fine. And there's an entire video on this about these parasitic fungi that do this. Anyway, if you haven't looked it up, it's called cordyceps. cordyceps is what it is, and it's insane. So this is the entire premise of the show. Livia, thank you. That worked out flawlessly. I mean, how beautiful was that? It just boom, just popped up. All right, let's watch the rest. It's not Planet Earth, but just look it up. It's interesting.
That is the premise of the show, and it's really well produced, and it's beautifully shot, and it's really well scripted. Actually,
all those things are true. It is well scripted. It's well done. The music is fantastic. The choice and selection of casting is great. Actually, it's shot like crap. The first episode is shot in a very TV, ABC, CBS, Dawson's Creek style camera. It's not movie production quality. It's not shot with a movie quality camera. Then episode 2, they do pick up with that, and they go into just a higher movie feel to it, but they don't use any stabilizers or gyros on the cameras. So it's constantly wiggling and moving, which gives it that we're running and we're moving with fervor and pace. But my God, it makes you want to throw up on an 85-inch screen. I swear I had to go watch it on the smaller TV because I literally felt like I was on a boat.
And all the rest. It is this character, Joel.
Yeah, dude, I'm really anal retentive with my audio and video quality. This is a personal thing, and some other people might not understand it, but cinematography, like Olivia, you've got an opinion on cinematography, don't you?
I think is my mic off? Nope, it's on. It depends. I mean, it definitely did kind of make you sick, a little queasy. It was really bouncy, but I'm not as, I guess, picky as you are.
I don't know. There's times where you haven't watched movies because the cinematography is bad and you can't stand it. And you're like, I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah, Moulin Rouge makes me sick. I can't watch it.
I got the feeling like they were trying to emulate like the first person video cam kind of feel like it was done in Cloverfield. That was my take on it.
Well, that's okay. That's exactly what they try to do. But unfortunately, for people who are watching on a big screen from 10 feet away, it makes you feel kind of sick. And Cloverfield's a great example. Gears of War, the video game, is really hard to play sometimes because it has an over-the-shoulder camera. And when you're running, it's like, and you're just like, oh, you just want to throw up. Because your inner ear doesn't go along because you're not actually moving. So it's kind of like a head fake. But good call. All right.
And this character, Ellie, and they are navigating the zombie apocalypse. And then we get to, so that's the first couple episodes. And they're good. They're really compelling. Again, really well made, really well written. It's historic.
Get to the point.
It's important. Okay, guys, it's historic and important. Now, why is it historic and important? It's historic and important because it's about 2 gay dudes. That's why.
That's an oversimplification. I think when you look at the first open mixed race kiss, that was, a lot of people think it was Star Trek on TV, and that wasn't. There was actually one done before that, a long time before that when I was researching this. And it's immaterial to the conversation. But I think when you look at In the Heat of the Night, there's a movie that's extremely controversial when it comes to black and white relations. You look at To Kill a Mockingbird. You look at the first kiss between two lesbian women. These things have a tendency to be monumental and allow people to start feeling truly uncomfortable and have a conversation about it. This, let's face it, is a very big TV show. Now, if you look at Game of Thrones, it had homosexuality in it. There's been movies with homosexuality, but this is a little bit different.
It was.
This is an entire show is based on this. And I think that's the point that Ben's missing, is that this really hasn't been done like this. Yes, there's been shows that are not mainstream, that don't have millions of people watching it. But this is the first one that is very mainstream. The entire PlayStation video game system success was really dependent upon this game that launched it into the freaking troposphere over Xbox and will continue to make it so. I think he's really weighing down how important this was. And I happen to agree with the media on this, that this was an extremely important episode for somebody to watch. Now, I'll tell you why. Because I fast forwarded through the gay scene. Now, the reason why is because my kids were watching the show. You can judge that or not. I really don't care. But just like when we saw boobs in Romeo and Juliet in school, they put a piece of paper over it. Just like my parents forwarded stuff or made me cover my eyes when there was nudity. We've all been there as parents. And I don't care if it's 2 straight people. I'm going to cover it so my kids don't see it. So I fast forwarded the scene. But the portion that I did see, I'm not going to lie, made me uncomfortable. But that's okay. It's supposed to. That's what it's designed to do. And that's why we need to not get over it and accept it and all pretend that we can be gay and happy and lesbians and we can switch back and forth. No. That's not what it's designed for. It's designed to understand that it is a part of life. And it may not be a part of your life, but it does happen every single day. And to acknowledge it is important because it happened in the video game. And that's another thing that Ben fails to mention.
So the essential plot of this episode, which is the problem with this episode, and again, you want to make Brokeback Zombie Farm or whatever, fine. But
okay, so he just said the quiet part out loud. Ben has a problem with this because it has homosexuality in it. Full stop. It's not about zombies. It's not that there's not zombies in there. It's not that the production value isn't there, the writing's not good. There's 2 gay guys in it and that bothers him. At least he's honest, right? A lot of people would be skirting the issue. He just got, after pumping it up for 5 minutes, finally getting to the point, is that he doesn't like that there's 2 gay guys in it. That's what he's saying. Everything else, if there was a heterosexual couple in there, he'd probably be heralding it as one of the best episodes he's seen in a long time because honestly, the story is magnificent, especially the love story, which we'll get into in a second.
The problem with this episode is that it absolutely does not advance the plot in any way and actually has no consequences.
Doesn't matter.
Actually, that's not true. And that's because Ben hasn't seen the whole show, and he will if he watches it, he'll understand why this is absolutely critical to the story because it's not about zombies. It's about love. And I know that's hard for people to see and go, how is it possible that a sci-fi / horror flick encroaches upon love and effectively does it where so many other shows that have been that central topic have failed? That's the beauty of it, folks.
So the entire plot of the episode is that Ron Swanson, Nick Offerman, but he actually plays Ron Swanson, but Ron Swanson who likes to nail dudes. So Ron Swanson, a libertarian.
See, Ben's trying to be more edgy, and it really doesn't come across. He's so much better when he just sticks to the facts. But see, he's trying to get – a lot of people think he's milquetoast, and I don't. I think Ben, he hits the points often, hard, and well. The problem is now he's trying to be a little more edgy, and it doesn't really work on him, unfortunately.
Who hates the government and lives in his basement and is a prepper, but also is gay. Ron Swanson, during the zombie apocalypse, he's having himself a grand old time. For some reason, his town is completely not hit by any of the zombies at all. It's like completely left alone.
I'm not going to address that because that would make me a nerd. But ultimately, if you just put 2 and 2 together, the guy was a prepper. He has an electrical fence. Obviously, he did some cleanup, and he could have maybe stayed home sick that day. And everyone was at work where they have been eaten alive by now, or they're doing aptly the eating. But either way, plot holes are a part of shows.
And so he goes out and gets all of his resources, and then he builds a nice fence around his place, and he sets up all of these booby traps. So if anybody shows up, whether they're raiders, whether they're zombies, they're
He said booby.
Get killed. And then somehow another dude ends up like falling into one of his traps, and they meet and they bang. And
okay, total bullshit. This is not Brokeback Zombie. I can't quit you, Ennis, and he dry humps him in a tent. I'm sorry to be graphic. I'm sorry, I said I was going to be good with the kids. I apologize, children. That's not what it's about. That's not what happens. And all of a sudden they have like oily gay sex and they dress in YMCA outfits. They court each other. They do what normal people would do. And ultimately they argue and they disagree. But in the end, they fall in love. I understand that this is uncomfortable. I am an alpha male. Trust me, I get it. But to say it's literally a gay pride festival in their mouths is a little bit an oversimplification.
And they end up becoming a couple. Okay, so you can see it here, right? There's gay Ron Swanson.
It's nice to see,
and
that
it's complete with like sex scenes
are not just
and
on my show.
The entire episode has no zombies, no real.
Actually, it has 2 zombies, just to be honest with you. That's not correct. And it also has about 20 raiders who died trying to storm the property. So, yeah.
And it is about 2 gay dudes who meet.
These would be known as bears. Very hairy gay men.
And have a relationship in which one grows strawberries for the other. And then they die. But not being killed by zombies or under threat. One dies... He gets cancer, and he decides to...
They're running after each other. They're not having exercise and trying to keep their cardio up, because cardio is like rule number 8. You got to have good, or rule number 2 in Zombieland. I think maybe it's double taps 1, cardio's 2. I don't know, whatever. They got to keep their cardio up. Nope, he's chasing him to have gay sex. Yep, more gay sex is what they're chasing for. They're working out. Come on. Essentially
euthanasia himself, and Gay Ron Swanson decides that he is also going to commit suicide at the same time, because Romeo and Juliet, or Romeo and Romeo in this particular case. Here's the problem. It's all really well produced and it's beautifully shot.
Here we go. Carrie, that is completely not true. They were gay in the game. You missed the subtlety. I can understand how your grandson missed it. Let me explain how it happened. It actually worked in the I was hoping somebody would say this. In fact, there's a couple topics you want to stay away from with me. One of them is video games. You've learned some things, but I don't talk about video games a lot. In the game Last of Us, first of all, Zombieland survival rules. Number 1 actually is cardio. Number 2 is double tap. I transposed it. Thank you, Olivia, for sending me the page. God, I love this new format. So I want to make sure I understand. Bill in the game is a loner. He's in the middle of a city. He's a burly guy. He's kind of a smart ass. He's like Billy Bob Thornton. And he's very, very tough and very, very mean and grumpy. And he is an arms dealer, and he collects guns and he provides them to the resistance, which there's the Fireflies, there's the resistance, and then there is the government base. To make sure you understand, you go through this entire thing and you could tell that there's something in him. He talks about longing for a relationship. You don't know anything about it. Then they're in a house and they're going door to door looking for a car battery to get into a truck. And he walks in and he sees someone hanging from the rafters by a noose around their neck. And that's Frank in the TV show, his lover. And you see the look on Bill's face and it turns ashen. And he says something to the fact, that mother effer, he's a quitter. And cuts him down with a machete, and his body hits the floor. And you could tell it was someone he cared about, because he says, that's my former partner. Partner meaning gay in 2013, 2014. You then get a letter that Ellie finds, which says goodbye to Frank. And it's very grumpy. And it basically, you can tell it's fake. And it says, the best decision I ever did was leaving you, and now I get to leave this mortal coil and never get to see you again, and that makes me happy. He's not saying that being truthful. He's talking to Bill the way Bill talks, and ultimately it's bro talk. He was a homosexual openly. Everything in the game shows that, and it was nuanced. So your grandson missed it. That's why it's not different than the game. It just expanded that relationship because people wanted to hear. People were wondering, is this true? Was Bill gay in the game? And the game has hundreds of talking points or bridge points that you could go off on, and you have to go ahead and build on it. And I think they made a fantastic story that's absolutely incredible.
Here's the problem with Brokeback Zombie Farm. 1, it's a zombie show. There are no zombies in this entire episode. Like, none. I understand simplistic critique, but there are no zombies in a zombie show. This is worth pointing out. It literally has nothing to do with the plot of the show.
Yes, it does.
This is a show where this show could have this entire episode could have taken place completely without a zombie apocalypse.
No, it couldn't.
It just would have been a Showtime romance between 2 middle-aged gay dudes who get older, one dies of cancer and the other assisted suicides himself. That would have been the entire. It would not have changed one iota of the show. It is completely irrelevant to the story. And one of the reasons that it is completely irrelevant to the story is because there are no stakes. And the reason that there are no stakes is because, again, we are in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. When you're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, one of 2 issues has to come into play. 1, the threat of the zombies.
Oh, look at that. They're being threatened. See the guns and the fire and all that? Wow, that seems like, it looks like a zombie apocalypse to me. He looks pretty butch with that gun.
Or 2.
Rifle. Sorry. Can't believe I just did that. Marine Corps. Sorry, folks.
The threat to humanity more broadly. If you're talking about the threat to humanity more broadly during the zombie apocalypse, what you're talking about is underpopulation, right? You're talking about there are no people. The zombies are going to take over. Right. Humanity is going to be extinct. That is the entire threat in a zombie apocalypse. Correct?
Correct. I'm going to answer his question, even though he's not talking to me. Yes, it is. It's one of them. And I think the other one would have to be losing humanity. Because I think that's more important than depopulation. Whatever's left has the human race lost its way? Has it lost its moral ability to care and to love and to protect. And if it's simply a free-for-all where rape and murder and pillaging takes over and we become animals, then what's the point of repopulating? So I think Ben's question, his premise is correct, but it also misses a very large point that this isn't a zombie movie, which is based on how to save everyone, because ultimately we know that that's probably not going to be possible.
Yep.
Even with the later episodes, what we find out is the only thing that truly does save humanity is love. And that's the whole premise of the show that Ben's missing because he's never seen it.
Right.
Or in an alien invasion movie. Or in any other sort of species level extinction event movie, like War of the Worlds or something. The question is, how do human beings repopulate? How do they survive? And how do they become successful once again? If you're going to censor an episode like that, what you need to do is you need to have an episode about people who can have babies.
Ah, there it is. Hold on.
Again, there are only two issues in a zombie apocalypse. You could have this whole thing, but the whole...
This isn't this isn't something like the Umbrella. This is where you know where Leroy and I's brains are absolutely intertwined, because listen to this shit. Academy. These aren't the last two people on Earth. I would get his point, but there are plenty of these relationships, gay or not, going over all over the place. So to say that the entire human existence is hinged upon these two San Francisco swingers, which they're not, is ridiculous. And once again, it's just trying to justify his uncomfortability with homosexuality. And maybe this is a little bit of an immaturity that Ben has from, being a little bit privileged in life with his success, not white privilege, but privilege in the fact that he probably hasn't experienced some of these things. He probably doesn't have a lot of friends who share these stories with him, or he hasn't lived those experiences. And that's truly what it means, is that he's separated from things like this. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I've missed things in life that I haven't experienced because my parents were more middle class. But it doesn't mean that he's all of a sudden, he has to be thrown into some sort of slot or some sort of demographic because he has not experienced anybody in his life like this. Now, I happen to have, at a very early age, had somebody enter our life who was homosexual, and it probably changed my disposition in life. But Ben is now going through this on the national stage, and it just seems like he fumbles through it to me. He doesn't even feel strongly about his convictions because he undercuts his comments constantly. Maybe I'm overreading it. Maybe not. Let me know.
Thing is, these two dudes in love, but they're fighting off zombies. But they never fight off the zombies. It's not an issue. What happens if you have a baby? Or should having babies be the purpose here?
Well, men can have babies now. You've heard that, Ben. So the woke left have told us that. So we should be okay.
So let's take another example of a show that did this correctly. So Battlestar Galactica had an episode early on.
You never, ever get to make fun of people who play video games when you bring up Battlestar Galactica. Probably one of the best TV shows out there that nobody really watched. A lot of people did, but it wasn't as mainstream as some of the other ones. You should watch it. It's fantastic.
I think it was season 2.
Yes, Battlestar Galactica is awesome.
Thank you.
In which one of the questions was underpopulation, right? The fleet is depopulating. And so the question becomes, what do you do about abortion? So President Roslyn, who is a lefty, she decides that she's going to outlaw abortion because if you want humanity to survive, then it turns out that individual autonomy over your body is significantly less important than actually repopulating humanity.
So definitely a far cry from where we started out. His first premise was that the show has nothing to do with zombies. Then it came down to that two gay people in the show ultimately was useless to talk about, and he doesn't appreciate it. And then it became a ploy for abortion. So it seems like he's just, flipping levers and buttons to check the boxes off with conservatives, when really his entire premise doesn't give him much to stand on. So I'll tell you what I think. And not everything has to be political, but many things have political implications or consequences. Politics is concerned with the distribution of power and resources within a society, as well as the decisions made by government and other actors that affect people's lives. Therefore, issues related to social justice or economic inequality or public health and the environment, among others, can all have political dimensions. Everything has something political in it if you allow it to. However, it is also important to recognize that not everything needs to be viewed through a political lens. Ben could have simply watched the show and just tried to enjoy it versus breaking it apart. But I will give him credit. That's his job and that's what he does. But in this case, there was really no there. There are many aspects of our lives, such as personal relationships, hobbies, artistic pursuits, making strawberries for another man, that are not necessarily political in nature. It is possible to appreciate and value these aspects of our lives without politicizing them. Now, the director did say he wanted to shock the hell out of people and surprise them. Well, mission success. This definitely shocked me just a little bit how in depth they did it, because in the video game it was very subtle. It was a letter, and his lover hung himself, and they found him when they were traversing through multiple buildings to collect resources to get on the road. And he found him, and you saw a tear in his eye, and by his reaction in the letter, you could tell that they were lovers. Very subtle, but back then, you had to be. That being said, it is important to be critical and serious about the issues that do have political implications by engaging in thoughtful and informed discussions, informed being the key word for Ben. We can work towards creating a more just and equitable society, I guess, but it's also important to recognize that these issues may not seem political at first glance and can still have political consequences, such as the impact of personal actions on the environment or on social inequality or the economy or on how we go about our everyday lives. Love knows no boundaries because it's a feeling that transcends physical and societal limitations. Love is a powerful emotion that can connect two people regardless of their race, gender, ethnicity, religion, culture, or socioeconomic status. Love is a universal emotion that is felt by all human beings. We all have the capability of loving, and it's not something that can be controlled or limited by external factors. When we feel a connection with someone, it is often based on a deeper understanding and acceptance of who they are as a person rather than on superficial factors such as their appearance or social status or whether they pee standing up or sitting down. Unfortunately, that's just not the way it works. And Ben knows this. Love is also a transformative force that can challenge and break down barriers. When we love someone, we're willing to go beyond our comfort zone to understand and accept them. We are willing to learn from them, to grow with them, and to adapt to their unique perspectives and experiences. Moreover, love can be a catalyst for positive change in the world. When we love someone, we want to make their world a better place, as in this story. We've become invested in their well-being, and we strive to create a better future for ourselves and for the people we care about. And that is the entire premise of the show. In the simplest form, that is what this episode is about, and so is the game. I'm reflective on so many books, music, movies, and poetry I would have missed out on simply because a black artist was the only barrier for me to embrace and take in their works if I grew up in the 50s or the 40s. If I disagreed with someone's political disposition, imagine how much I would have missed. Within my own show. If I would have cauterized the conversation before it even started, how much of less of a person would I be? We can disagree with someone and their lifestyle. Ben has been open about anti-Semitism, homosexuality, and leftist ideology. All the while, he has been open to discuss these divisions of thought with open discussion and debate. This is something I admire and try to emulate with Ben. Here, I feel he missed the mark. Ben is an avid student and learns all he can about a subject before diving into the finer points of the conversation. Here it feels like he read his show notes and portrayed them as his own thoughts with no investment and no forethought. Either a staffer wrote his monologue or he was vastly ill-prepared this one time. I, for one, think it puts him in bad light because Ben is not a homophobe, but he certainly didn't make his case proving that he isn't in this one show. As people shouldn't judge Ben for this oversight, people shouldn't judge a show just because there are two gay men inside of it, that the director specifically chose to be shocking and make people downright uncomfortable. Isn't that the point after all? Facts are funny that way. The LGBTQ community is here to stay. We may take some exception with some of their beliefs and lifestyles, but they are human after all. We must always remember that we rarely control who we love. We can disagree based on fact and reality, and that can be monumental feats for us to get through to them. But we need to be careful not to become what we despise. We need to shed the monikers that they castigate upon us. The only way I know how to do that is to emulate a lesson I learned from Ben. Facts don't care about our feelings. It's good advice, and advice that Ben missed on this take. Don't worry, it happens to the best of us. Ben Shapiro, thank you for letting me put you in the crosshairs. I do admire his work, and I understand his points. The camera was horrible on the show. That enough would have made me turn it off if I couldn't stomach through it. Folks, do me a favor, play the game Last of Us if you haven't tried it. If you don't play video games, give the show a chance. You can always skip number 3 if it's as inconsequential as Ben says. It won't mean anything to you, but I challenge you to do one thing. Watch all the episodes but 3, and then when you turn off the story and you're wanting more, go back and give it a watch. It is a beautiful story, whether you agree with the lifestyle or not, and I think that was the point of the show. Folks, thanks for watching me tonight. I know it was a long episode.
Sorry,
but
I know it was a long one.
With me. My name is
I
Matthew Spear.
appreciate
I'm the
you all
host
being
of Donut.
patient. Would love to get takes. Leroy, you've had a chance to watch it. Olivia, you have. And then Amy, this is great because you haven't had a chance to watch it. I'd love to get your thoughts too. So let's go with Olivia, and then we will go to Amy and then Leroy last.
Well, I like the episode. We just finished it tonight, and I did not have any issues with it. In fact, I thought it was a beautiful love story, and at one point I did cry. So, I mean, I was emotionally in tune with it. So the fact that he says that this has nothing to do with the zombie apocalypse, but it clearly did say at the beginning they had an evacuation notice at the beginning, and then the military was there and they rounded everybody up in the town to evacuate them, and he just hid in his basement. So that solves the problem of why was he there and why is no one else in the town, because it was a tiny little town. There was like a store and a church, and that was it. And then being a doomsdayer or whatever he was, prepper, he, you know, he had all that stuff ready, and he protected his property and his home, so he knows zombies would get in. That was the whole point of it. But I had no issue with the episode at all. And I think, honestly, it was a good episode, and I think it made the show better.
Ames.
I haven't seen the show. I do not play games. Not that I'm opposed to it. I just, you know, it's not my thing. But in regards to Ben Shapiro's take on it, from not seeing it and just watching his show, I really feel like the Daily Wire as a whole they've always been stacking the deck, right? They're always built, like they're putting their boxes on one side here. They're trying to do something bigger. And I think lately it's been ramped up a lot more. They have the chocolate, which I didn't order yet because it's
Jeremy's chocolate.
Yeah.
Jeremy's chocolate.
I want to. I probably will, but once it's not on pre-order, I don't want to wait for my chocolate. Like, just give it to me now. So, I think they are just really trying to stack up their deck to really start a true movement in our country. So I think they are really taking a hard stance on a lot of things that maybe they don't necessarily need to fight about. But I think they just have to hold that line to say we are not budging on all of these things. And I think, I didn't see it. I didn't see the episode or the scene, but like Olivia said, she got emotional over it. I think if you're a human being, just seeing anyone in love or caring about someone, I don't care who you are, I think we can all relate to that. At least I would hope so. And we can feel those emotions. That's it.
Yeah. Before I think it's, and listen, you haven't seen it, but you can see it from a fresh perspective, because that's a benefit sometimes, because you're not going to have any predetermined notions. Before we get to Leroy, someone said, I'm tired of the LGBTQ community shoving this down our throats. Okay. There's a very big difference between people being cornered at a restaurant and saying, say gay pride, right? Or here's a rainbow flag, you must carry it.
Oh, I was going to address that.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Then I'll stop. I will just say, and I want to be clear, that if you are not comfortable with homosexuality and lesbianism, I completely understand. I just told you I watched the show, and it was palpable for me. I felt it too. I was uncomfortable because I like both characters, and then to see them laying on top of each other, it's just not my thing. It would be very much watching, to be completely transparent with you and just honest, something that's disgusting. I don't find it to be appealing. I think two men having sex is not, first of all, the twig and berries are not the most attractive thing in the world. And it's certainly not when you put it in the holiest of the holies. That's not the most attractive thing. Then you mix them together, and it's just not me. It's not my bag, baby. So it makes me a little uncomfortable, but that's because it should. Just like a black and a white person kissing, back in the day, it made people uncomfortable, and they scream and said, "This is wrong. It's not right. It's blah blah blah. It's an abomination." And you could see this cathartic reaction back in the day, and it's based upon ignorance and not stupidity, and not that you're ignorant in a bad way. It's because you haven't experienced it. Ben Shapiro just demonstrated that this is not a topic he's comfortable talking about. And I just want to be clear, if it's that you believe that they're putting this in here simply to turn people, I will tell you that this show is not that. And Ellie, whether you know it or not yet, is a lesbian. And that has been the premise of the entire show and the game. And it's an important thing to understand that it doesn't mean a damn thing. In fact, when you get to the second Last of Us 2, the relationship between Joel, the girlfriend, her, it's very complex. So I'm just trying to say this. There's going to come a point where you're going to have to face this. And there'll be a transition in your life where, just like having biracial relationships on TV, maybe you didn't get through it, but your parents did. You're going to have to see it on a show and go, okay, I don't condone that. I don't like it, and kind of is repulsive to me, but it's life. And we need to understand that it is a part of life, and you're not going to escape it because it's a reality. That doesn't mean, just like cancer can be extremely horrible for people to relive when they have lose a parent to cancer, or maybe there was an abduction in their family, so they don't watch movies about abduction. It's okay not to watch it because of that. But because you say, I refuse to acknowledge that gay relationships and lesbian relationships take part, I think that's where we have to be careful. That's my opinion. Leroy, go ahead.
All right. So, first of all, I've seen all of the episodes with the exception of the last one, so nobody spoil it for me. Now, that being said,
they all die in the end.
Now, that being said, I wrote these points down because I was taking notes as Matt was talking and while Ben was talking. But I have to do this backwards. Well, kind of sort of backwards. There was 3 main points. And I'm going to go with the third one first. Now, I can't tell you how many Ben Shapiro videos. First of all, all right, pause. I need to say this. I'm a Ben Shapiro fan. I love the guy. I think he's fantastic. I am with Matt on this one. He missed the mark because this wasn't so much about 2 gay guys as it was about the show, and that really comes out in Ben's attitude. Now, here's point number 3 that I'm going to go with here, and that is at the later part of the video, Ben actually says, "Okay, what you need to do," and God, how many times have I heard that during his shows? Umpteen million shows that I've seen with him. What you need to do. How many times has he vilified that position coming from anybody else? One of the primary things that Ben goes after is when people tell him what to do. And here he is kind of criticizing that point, basically saying, look, what you need to do here in the show. No, this is their show, which leads me to point number 2. Because again, I'm working backwards. How many times have I heard Ben say, look, if something is on TV and it happens to disagree with my moral or ethical values, hey, I got this little box here that comes with an on and off button. I don't have to watch it. So you really can't claim that this is something where people are, that there's this moral perspective invading your home, which is what Matt was talking about with that comment. Nobody is saying, look, watch this. You have to watch it. No,
that's right.
You can turn it off if you so desire, Ben. So you really don't get 20 minutes to go ahead and criticize it. You didn't have to watch it. And again, I love the guy. That brings me to point number 1, because again, I got to work backwards. This really wasn't about the show, The Last of Us. It wasn't. What this was about was Ben's take on homosexuality. And as many times as Ben tells us that he doesn't care about what people do in and out of the bedroom. Like, he tells everyone virtually weekly that
hello, sir.
We should stay the hell.
Hold on. We can. Just hang tight. Leroy's talking. You can hear him. When he's done, we'll get to you, caller.
I'm almost
I cannot hear you.
Okay.
1 second.
Should I call back?
Yeah, caller, just hold on 1 second. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Leroy's talking, so just hang tight. We're going to get to you in a second.
30 more second. As many times as Ben tells us that the government and other people should stay the hell out of the bedroom, right? And not to criticize what happens, like what happens behind closed doors, stays behind closed doors. That's fine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this was televised is a different thing, right? It led us into a world where it wasn't about homosexuality. It was about two people who genuinely loved each other.
Right.
It didn't.
That's it.
I didn't care that they were. It didn't make me uncomfortable. Honestly, it didn't.
That's
and
okay.
I'm not gay. It was just two people who genuinely cared for each other,
right.
And that's fine. That's what this show is about. So
every reaction should be different, right? I mean, we shouldn't all have the same reaction to it.
So for Ben to say, on the weekly that we should stay the hell out of everyone's bedrooms, right? And then here he goes and, kind of criticizes that. I felt that was a little bit of a hypocritical view. That was just my take on it.
I think it's fair. Listen, I think it's fair. Caller, where are you from? What's your name?
Hello, my name is Chris. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio.
All right, Cleveland. Well, you and Leroy have something in common. Can you guys hear Chris?
There you go.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, Chris, what's your take, man? I'd love to hear from you. What do you got?
Well, as far as Shapiro's phobias or whatever, if you want to call them that, they may be well grounded. I don't know his experience or background or encounters with that kind of environment or people. I'm going to let you guys know, not too long ago, a couple years ago, I had a very bad experience with a long friend of mine. I am 40 plus years old now. I've known my friend for probably 20 plus years.
Okay.
When I was in a hard place, I went to go stay over at his house, and he tried to take advantage of the situation, if you know what I mean.
I do.
That shit didn't fly.
Of course. Yeah, because you're not gay, right?
Correct.
Okay. So that would make sense that you would say, nope.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just, I don't know. So I can kind of see where Shapiro, if he has had a similar situation, has had a chip on his shoulder or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I got so
Can the
far.
caller hear me?
Yeah, they can hear you. Go ahead, Leroy.
Yeah, I can hear you, Leroy.
Okay, so the question then is, we're basically saying that because you had a bad incident, right? Because someone tried to take advantage of you at some point, that somehow that turns into Ben Shapiro's phobia, which I don't even know if it is a phobia. I don't think it is, but I'm just saying that.
I think what he's saying is that there might have been an experience that Ben Shapiro, I'm not trying to speak for the caller, but that Ben Shapiro may have had an experience similar to his. And maybe the caller is saying that he has some hesitation about that because he was confronted from a homosexual that was unwanted. And just like if somebody who was 40 years old approached a 16-year-old, it'd make them uncomfortable and trepidatious of 40-year-olds. I don't think that his feelings are anything out of norm, and probably, bring a perspective that we didn't think of. Am I right about this, caller, or am I off?
No, yeah, you're spot on.
Okay. Yeah. So here's where I will counteract and stay with Leroy on this. I was sodomized and raped by a priest, and it has impacted my ability to find religion again for sure. But what's interesting is it certainly hasn't changed my disposition towards homosexuals, because one is about power and rape, and the other one has nothing to do with the other. So I don't hold homosexuals in an ill light because I was raped by a man who is obviously gay, because they have nothing to do with each other. I would ask you to try to possibly find the same level of forgiveness for everyone else. Now, the question is, if this guy tried to physically and multiple times after saying no, then that's a completely different conversation. I don't think it has anything to do with homosexuality. It has to do with rape. If he made a pass at you,
maybe you're just a hell of an attractive guy, and he felt that was what he was getting the wrong vibes. And if it was a mistake, well, then that's a completely different conversation.
I am
You
a
get to
pretty
decide.
good-looking guy, but yeah, no,
Sure.
this shit was unwarranted.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Was there alcohol? Were you guys drinking? Were you guys just sharing a few pops?
Too much.
I'm sorry?
Were you guys
Said
drinking
maybe
a
they
little? Oh, were you guys drinking a little bit or hanging out? I mean, what are the circumstances? Or was this just an all-out? He tried something, and you're like, nope, out the door.
No, again, I was in a rough spot at the time. I ended up having to crash on his couch or whatever. And yeah, it was just completely unwarranted.
Sure. Okay. Well, I think it's
Sounds
an
like the
interesting
guy assumed
perspective.
too much.
Yeah, sounds like you did. Amy, your thoughts?
I mean, I can respect where the caller's coming from. I think we've all had life experiences that will, that are triggered or make us think more deeply about certain situations that we happen to see on TV or read about in the news. I mean, people keep mentioning Game of Thrones, which I did watch every episode of that. I will tell you, there was 100 episodes in that series that were
ton of lesbian and gay sex.
To watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, everyone's like, there was gay sex in Game of Thrones. I'm like, did you watch it? Do you even Game of Thrones?
Yeah. There was, but not just even the sex part, but just, the murder.
Might as well have been called the Game of Bones.
Right. It was a really hard show to watch for me. Not every episode, but a lot of them I was like, oh my gosh, I can't fast forward. This is horrible. But I loved the show overall. I thought it was amazing. And I love it. I loved everything about it. That was well done. So I can compare it to that and go, yes, I struggle with a lot of the episodes for different reasons. And there were so many just horrible things in that
show. I mean, the show was, and listen, Game of Thrones was designed to make a visceral reaction to everyone who watched it on every episode, from eating penis to chopping it off to having a claymore abortion. From the exterior of the body. I mean, there was things in that show that I'm just like, oh my God. And that's what it's designed to do. Some people are saying, Matt, are you telling us to accept or condone homosexuality?
No.
You're not listening to me. I just openly traversed through a subject which looked at Ben's side, the LGBTQ side, the heterosexual side. I think I navigated it fairly clearly. What I'm telling you is if I told you right now, you can give me your favorite person, say it's Jimi Hendrix, and you're like, I love Hendrix. I would, if I could meet one person, it'd be Jimi Hendrix, and I would give my soul to in order to meet Jimi Hendrix when he went down to the crossroads. And I love his music and everything about him. And then I told you, well, did you know he was homosexual? And that's not true. But if it were, bisexual is actually, you just got to research Jimi Hendrix and read his life story. But even, I'm not going to make any accusations. What I'm saying is, would you then hate Jimi Hendrix and never listen to his music? Okay, then how much are you missing simply because there is an infinitesimal amount of homosexual relationship that goes on in an amazing show? It's the same thing with cussing. Some people say, well, I won't watch a show because there's foul language. Well, you're missing so much because you can't get past. And that's okay. You don't have to get past it. What I'm asking you to do is understand that you are going to miss out on a ton of stumps simply because you disagree with a lifestyle. Leroy and then the caller. Leroy and then the caller. Leroy and then the caller.
The show, Ben's show, wasn't about homosexuality. It was about his disagreement with a preference. Okay, let's say the show didn't have anything to do with homosexuality. Let's say it was about two people who had a proclivity towards pistachio ice cream. Okay, right. The fact that he disagreed with it, right? That's my point. It was on TV. Ben, you could have turned it off at any time. It doesn't matter. That was my take on it. It's not so much. I mean, and he really did. He kind of opened himself up, in a manner of speaking, to criticism for people who could then come back and say, "Well, what's the matter with gay people? You don't like them?" You know, and obviously
he got blasted for this. They tore him apart online.
He did, and I'm not sure that I would disagree with that. I'm like, you know what, for as many times as you come on your show telling us to telling us to stay the hell out of everyone's bedroom, and to, when things like that happen, you can turn the TV off. Here you are subjecting yourself to that and then criticizing it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of his job too.
That
Caller, go ahead, and then Olivia. No, I got you. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I was responding to your music reference, and I was going to say, who doesn't love Queen?
Yeah, Freddie Mercury, great example.
Right?
Great example.
Right.
Well, how about Barry Manilow? Listen, I understand there are people who don't like Barry Manilow. I write the songs that make the young girls cry. Dude, I love Barry Manilow. We listened to him all the way from Ventura, California to Yosemite because it was the only 8-track in the RV. I think Barry Manilow is fine, and he's gayer than a $3 bill. I mean, are you kidding me? There used to be this horrible joke that went around in restaurants that what you would do is when you got your glass of water, you would grab a creamer for your coffee and you would stick it in the water and then you would pop it and a bunch of white cloud would come out and says, hey, look, it's Barry Manilow farting in a pool.
Gross.
Right. Gross and disgusting. But guess what? That was the joke. I mean, and people were ruthless back then. They were horrible back then to this guy. And all he did was write songs that made the young girls cry at the Copacabana. I mean, Barry Manilow was an amazing talent, but the level of homosexual hate towards him. Don't you remember Richard Gere? He was a sex symbol. He was great in Pretty Woman. So someone goes in and talks about a gerbil, and that this guy puts a gerbil in his orifice, and then all of a sudden people hate on him and say he's homosexual and gay. And Richard Gere is probably one of the biggest womenizers in Hollywood. Folks, this has been a long progress of really, in my opinion, the only form of acceptable discrimination left in the United States is towards the LGBTQ community. I'm sorry, I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican. I believe that that people in their Christian faith are founded in their beliefs. I'm working on my own. I respect them, but I think this level of hate and animosity, it demeans us as a people. And as a conservative party, I think it demeans who we are. I don't know. I think you can separate the sex from the person, but isn't that what the Bible says? Hate the sin, not the man. I think we do a lot of hate in the man too.
Now, in terms of how society has evolved, I mean, just to Matt's point, when you go back 30, 40 years, somebody had just mentioned Rock Hudson. There was Liberace, right? I mean, years ago, when Elton John got married to a woman because he wanted to portray himself as a heterosexual, because God knows, was it to sell more records? I don't know. That's not the point. The point is he knew he was gay, and he put on this facade that basically says, hey, look, I'm straight, sort of. And so we've gotten to a point where, it's not okay to make fun of gay people anymore. Again, 30, 40 years ago, you would have had Sam Kinison and Richard Pryor, and just name Don Rickles, for God's sake. He would have dropped the British word for a cigarette. He would have used that ubiquitously all throughout his show. But we've changed. We've evolved since then. And it's not okay now.
Dorita made a comment real quick, says, you're right, Matt. Can't blame everyone just because of one person that's gay trying something on you. I'm not gay, but have gay friends and have for years, and female and male both gay. Women have never disrespect me or try anything. All years been gay. 50 years, his heart of gold, his relationship as a partner now going on 21 years, 12. Listen, okay, let me just say something real quick, and then I'm gonna hang up with the caller and we'll open up the lines again. I want to be transparent. I get hit on by guys almost as much as I get hit on by women. Olivia?
Yes, he does.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's hilarious. And honestly, the men are almost worse than the women. It's hilarious.
And it's like, I get hit on by women.
They're very insistent, aren't they?
No, I don't think it's a they thing. I think people live vicariously through their own ambitions, and some people are extremely brash and they think it's okay to be brash with sex. I don't. In fact, I tell them I'm happily married. I have no desire, but I'm very flattered. I tell the men the same thing as women. I'm very flattered. Thank you very much. This isn't a rejection. It's just simply not even an option. I'm not gay. And if it's a woman, I'm like, I'm in love with my wife. There's no one else for me. I appreciate you, but you're barking up the wrong tree. So if you continue, we will cease communication. I've had people say they want to strap me down and do things to me that I can't even fucking tell you. I've had to Olivia?
Yeah, he shows me all of them, and holy
That was last
cow.
night when I texted him. No, I'm kidding.
It's all right. Leroy,
That was you?
Leroy, that is warranted.
Right. God
Sound.
bless America.
Yeah, but folks, but he's kidding. And the point is that you've got to have a humor about this. But there's a difference between somebody crossing a line and not crossing a line. I'm not here advocating for the gay lifestyle. What I'm telling you is it's going to be in more and more stuff. That's never going to change. It's never going back the way it was. That's uncomfortable for some people, and they don't like it. And what I'm telling you is there are things you're going to miss because you have a zero tolerance policy that could possibly make you understand with a level of not acceptance, but not tolerance, but simply avoidance. Just don't fast forward the part you don't like. That's what I did. And I research and I make sure I know what's coming. And I find out when those scenes are going to happen so I can forward them so my children don't see them. Caller, you got last word on this real quick, and then we got to get into some of our other topics. And then Leroy's got something real quick.
You're fine. You're fine. If you got to hang up, you're cool.
I appreciate you calling, man. What was your first name again? I'm sorry.
Chris.
Chris, thank you for sharing your story with me, man. And everybody. I think it was highly courageous for you to sit here and share something as intimate as that. And God bless you, man. I think it benefited to the conversation.
All right.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Can I piggyback off Leroy? What he was saying?
No, because you're married.
And not that
gross.
piggyback.
That's gross. Whatever.
Well, what you were saying anyway.
Yes, go ahead.
About Ben Shapiro, he said he's never played the video game, and he is not planning on watching the show. So that means he purposely watched that show because it was episode number 3. It's not like it was the first episode.
Right.
It's kind of like
No. He did this. Was recorded 27 days ago. I want to be clear. This was before he watched the first 3. Number 4 hadn't been out yet. There were no zombies in number 4, is my understanding too. He hasn't seen the end, and he has. But to also. Right. But here's the thing. He could have done a retraction video, which would have been very big for Ben to say, hey, I watched the rest of these and let me tell you what I found. Holy shit, is this a good show? And I overreacted. But he didn't do that.
Well, it's kind of like if you're going to go out on a Friday night and you're single and you want to go meet somebody and you're straight. It'd be like going to a gay bar and then complaining that there's no straight people there. You don't have to go to a gay bar. Go to a straight bar.
I think that's a very good point. I think it's very point if you're watching Assless Chaps 3, take it in the big Dallas. That's different. Hold on. Let me finish my thought, please.
Yeah.
If you're watching Assless Chaps 3, take it in the big D, that you kind of know what you're walking into. The director specifically cloaked this in secrecy and did it for shock and awe. I got to give Ben credit for tackling this because a lot of people feel duped. Honestly, I think the unfortunate thing is a lot of people wouldn't have watched it if they weren't duped. And that speaks more about them than this show's premise. Leroy, go ahead.
I have the best example ever.
Oh, good.
Nobody would have ever watched Police Academy, then taken the 10-second snippet from the Blue Oyster and said, oh, it's a gay movie. Right? You wouldn't have done that because you know that it's a comedy. It was just one small part of a story. That's all it was. And Ben, because he hasn't seen the whole movie, he took it out of context and then ran with it. And that's fine. It was a mistake on his part.
Glenn wants to point out again that all chaps are assless. Okay. Listen, it's to give you a visual of assless chaps. It's not because then you're like, oh, he's wearing Levi's. No, they're assless.
Like no padonkadonk?
Right. Young, but like if you go to hairymexicans.com and you're like, wait a second, why do all these women have hair? You knew what you were walking into.
Right.
You should have understood. Why are all these women Latina? What the hell's going on? Well, you went to hairymexicans.com. Yeah, that's correct. You went to hairymexicans.com. So I understand in normal circumstances, but there was a little Machiavellianism in this that he was designing to get straight people to watch this, to shock them and to, make them uncomfortable. You know what? I hate to say it, but that's what a director's job is to do. You have to surprise the audience. I can understand. Listen, don't watch it. That's what it comes down to. If this makes you uncomfortable to a point where you're losing sleep over this, don't watch it. You got the remote. But that's my point. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Well, that's fine. Any other comments on this? Let's do it. No? Good? Sweet? Great? Okay. We're going to watch a video. Here we go. What did you say, Amy?
I can't wait to watch the show. I will watch the show because everyone's talking about it.
It's
so
good.
I want to watch it.
It's fantastic. This happened on the border. Want to make sure we're showing this. This is off Juarez. Now, I used to work in El Paso. I was district manager at Sila Vista Mall. And I used to go down to El Paso all the time. This is on the Juarez border. At one point, Juarez was one of the most dangerous places in Mexico. It was incredibly dangerous. It still is. And if you've ever watched Sicario, if you've ever watched this is Juarez, and it's a dangerous place. This happened over the weekend, and 1,000 illegal immigrants. I'm so sick of hearing asylum seekers. Please knock that shit off. Okay. I am tired of hearing the asylum seekers trope. It's tired. Not everybody is seeking asylum. Can we be transparent about that, please? And if they were, there still needs to be a process where we go through and validate this. Now, we also know Biden on Friday said that they're looking at possibly suspending breaking families up and bringing this back in, because this is one of the problems is that they're releasing families into the United States and they're not showing back up for their hearings, is to start separating families based upon the level of coyotes coming in, using kids, smuggling children in. Yep. These are bad things. This is the scene that we saw. And I want to get everyone's take, because remember what was said, that this is not an invasion. There's no invasion on the border. Don't you remember KJP, where she said, we're making huge progress. We're historic numbers on the border, which whenever you hear her say historic numbers, it means we're freaking losing our ass. Watch this.
Right. Can you hear that?
No, you can't hear it. Can't hear it. It's screaming and yelling. Sorry. Let me. I forgot we had a caller. Here, I'll play it one more time. I'll give you a quick brief.
There we go.
It looks like an invasion to me. Leroy, you've taken second fiddle for a lot of these. I'll let you go first, and then Amy and Olivia, if you have any comments, go ahead.
You know, when we see videos like this, it is always, it always invokes, one of two reactions. One is, hey, we need to help these people. We need to open up the borders. America is a nation of immigrants, which is largely true. But there's another part of this that says,
legal.
Under Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, that the United States is supposed to defend our borders against invasion. And it's kind of hard to debate whether or not that is that one or two people trying to scoot across for a better life, or is that something bigger? Because it certainly does look bigger to me. That's a problem right there.
Amy?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a huge problem. My heart goes out to the people who do want to be here and who are trying to get here the right way. My heart goes out to the people who are being abused and whose lives and families are being threatened to get here. The people who send their children with these coyotes, and then the children are expected to come up with thousands of dollars to pay the coyotes so they don't kill their parents, or the people who are stuck in literal crates for months because their family hasn't finished paying their debt to get them here. My heart really is in, we have to somehow reach these people before they get to the border. They don't know what they're in for. They have no idea. They think that Americans are welcoming them in. They think that we're setting them up with a house and a phone and a life, because that's what they're being told. And they're being sold a lie, and they have no idea.
He opened the borders.
And
he welcomed them here.
Right. But they're being sold alive.
What does it say
desperate.
that the borders are hasn't even visited it yet?
Well,
Right.
that's the whole thing we're going to talk about when it comes to Kamala being sold. We've got a couple more videos, but we will be done here in the next 20. Here's the thing. I think military people have a very different take on this than non-military. We've seen what an overrun border looks like. We have seen, this is what it looks like. So when Fox is like, it's an invasion. No, it's a slow trickle of illegal immigrants coming to the United States, which is a large amount. That is an invasion. You have which basically an invasion is a loss of control for the mission. The mission is to orderly and in organized fashion process people into the United States who have the right to be here. This is chaos. This is a loss of control of the border. This is what Syria looked like. This is what Afghanistan looked like. This is what it looked like going in Kyrgyzstan. This is what it looked like in Egypt and the Congo. This is what it looks like in England and other major European countries when the caliphate fell. This is what happens. We have to send a message that we are either a country or we are not. This is what an open border looks like. And I hate to say it, it's time to up the ante. It's time to send a clear message. Go ahead.
I can recall a Thomas Sowell quote that goes something like, if you don't control your borders, then you don't control your country. And on that point, I would agree. And I agree with you, Matt. It falls just short of an invasion, right? Because there's no armed. It's not like there's armies, literally armed with, charging towards a line.
Could you stand in front of that? Would you stand in front of that if you were Border Patrol?
But it falls just short of it, doesn't it?
Would you stand in front of that if you were Border Patrol?
No.
Then it's an invasion. Well, let me ask you this. Why wouldn't you stand in front of it?
Oh, because it's a no-win scenario. You would look like Kevin Bacon in Animal House after everyone smushed him.
That's it. Right. You would be killed. They're not going to stop for you.
No.
And that, in my opinion, is an invasion. If it's threat or bodily harm, this is, okay. What is the only way to disperse that crowd and turn them around?
Guns.
And?
Violence.
Alligators.
I think. Alligators.
Moats. Large. Can we get an elderberry Monty Python sound clip, please? So can we get that?
Sharknado.
Yeah. Monty Python, a little bit, please.
You can't expect to wield supreme executive power just because some watery tart threw a sword at you.
So you're not in this situation. The only thing you could really do is pepper balls, bean bags. It's not going to be a kind word. It's not going to be handing out Capri Sun.
Right.
We have to make a decision because this is going to be played in South America. This is going to be played in Mexico. And now the whole thing will be, we can't do 1 or 10 or 15 people in a truck full of hay anymore. We need to have 1,000 of us run, 10,000 of us run at the same time, and then they won't be able to catch us. This is going to be the new norm because this looks successful to me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an invasion.
That's exactly what it looks like.
It's
terrifying.
Real quick. Amy, set up your camera. Amy Stamcombe says, I need a moderator badge. Amy, I don't know who has Amy, send me a message. I don't know. I don't hand out badges. I don't do that. Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. So I don't know where that's coming from.
Badge for something. I don't know how I got it, but I think I have one.
Let's do it after the show and I'll get you set up. Amy should have everything she wants. Amy should have it all. Okay.
I do. I just haven't done it.
I'm talking about Stamcombe Robinson.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
All right. Next video. Friday. Jen Psaki. Now, this is okay.
The Psaki Dodge.
Every single person on this show works, I think, or is retired or has worked. The president of the United States, I've stated it many times. I kind of give the president of the United States a little bit of leeway. One is because they work an incredible amount of hours. They do. I don't care which. And work is kind of depends on which president we're talking about. But this is what Jen Psaki said on CNN today. She didn't circle back. She actually said this live. Here it is.
And that's what people need to hear from him. Now, it's important to note, President Biden does nothing at 9 a.m. He is a night owl. So the fact that he is doing this at 9 a.m. anyway speaks to how vital the White House recognizes it is for him to have his voice out there, conveying that to the American public.
All right, Steve Ratner, thank you very much.
I love how Jen Psaki looks at the camera and goes, oh, shit. Did I just say that out loud? I also want to go back. When I said military have a different aspect, listen, there's one thing that we knew in the military when we see these people, these overflows on the border, okay? We knew that we could not tell the good guys from the bad guys. And there is no litmus test. You know, they say, well, we need to run a security check. There is no security check. We need to go ahead and ask them questions. Dude, there is no way to tell if somebody is a jihadist. These people are absolutely deceptive at what they do. There is no screening. You have no idea what's coming across the border. So if we just assume that 1 out of 100, you just got 10 terrorists in this country. You do that every day. Let's do the math. Okay. Let's talk about how many of those could have fentanyl on them. How many of those are convicted felons? Folks, I'm sorry. I understand that we're supposed to be like everybody's good and pure and just great. We are literally 8 meals away from fucking the road warrior. 8 meals. That's all it's going to take. You know how they say everyone's paycheck to paycheck, missing one paycheck would bankrupt America? 8 meals away from utter chaos and literally eating our young. Because that is the society we have now. We're not hunters and gatherers. Nobody knows how to survive anymore. You miss 2 to 3 days of food, you will see riots in the street. You will see Molotov cocktails. You'll see your neighbors breaking into your house to feed their children. We are literally 8 meals away from absolute utter chaos in this country. If you don't know that, then you better soon. And I'm talking like now.
My biggest problem with what's happening at the border is the fact that, you know, after we get done saying that basically, yes, if you don't control your borders, you don't control your country. Now, when you compound that with the fact that, you know, everyone who watches this show has gone to an amusement park. Everyone on this show has gone to a nightclub, has gone to some event where there's security there. And why is security there? Where they're there to make sure you're not bringing anything illicit into the facility, that you're not bringing guns or drugs or anything sharp. When you go to Kings Island, they're going to give you the pat down and to make sure that you don't have a knife on you or a gun, right? Well, you can't advocate for open borders and still be an advocate for security. They're contradictory beliefs.
Yeah.
Right? And so what we're basically saying is, look, we understand that people want to come into this country. And we want them. We want everyone into this country. We absolutely do. What we don't want, right, is chaos, though. We want to have the guard at the door that pats everyone down and says, look, this person isn't carrying 10 pounds of fentanyl. This person over here isn't a gun runner, right? And if we can get to that point and realize that there's an immigration policy that's in place for a reason, that there is a process that's already there. And that process doesn't mean fling open the doors. Because I don't know of anyone at night who when they go to bed, they take the doors off of the hinges and say, look, I trust everyone to not come into my home and take everything that they can. Right? When you go to bed at night, you shut your door and you lock it. Why?
Yeah.
If people are that wholesome and pure,
with all due respect, that's a bunch of malarkey.
And why is that so?
Because not a single thing he said is accurate.
Prove your point, live by your word, and basically take the doors off of your hinges. If you're not willing to do that, then you do believe in some level of security, and that's all we're saying.
Listen, I'm not saying, okay, please. A lot of people are like, hey. I'm a prepper, or I'm a hunter gatherer. I didn't say you, and so am I. And I don't care if the end of the world comes. I'm going to survive as long as I can, and that's based upon the amount of ammunition I have and the smarts of not to be tracked and caught. I feel pretty good about my chances. Okay, I feel pretty good. So unless it's a nuke, I think I'm going to be okay. Zombie apocalypse, bring it on. I'm ready to go. I'm ready. But I think it's really important for people to understand something here. Is that your neighbor is not your friend.
Yeah.
The only friend you have is your family. And that's the truth. And you may have, but if that neighbor, I don't care if you've known him for 20 years. I don't care. If it comes down to their family or yours, you are no longer a friend. You're an enemy. That's the way it works. In a survival situation, and you can't hold that against them, because don't tell me you wouldn't do anything for your family. If your daughter or son is literally going to die, if they don't get food, everyone's a target. That's the way this works. We have to protect ourselves. You have to make sure that you are thinking in the worst case scenario, at least thinking about it. Because I'm not kidding when I say it's 8 meals away from utter chaos in the streets. Amy, go ahead.
I was just going to piggyback on to what Leroy said. He's getting a lot of piggyback rides tonight.
A lot of piggybacking rides? He's going to throw his back out.
Strong enough. I can take it, folks.
Yeah. When you go to a nightclub or an amusement park, or, you typically have to show ID and have a ticket. You've had to somehow secure your way into that space. So not only you are agreeing to be searched as well. So, we have none of that at the borders. I mean, we are not really checking people. We're clearly, I don't know what the numbers are up to of fentanyl. I heard it was absolutely staggering lately, though. The numbers, I think, and I might be wrong, I think they said they had quadrupled, though, in the last year and a half.
Oh, no, we have historic lows according to the Biden administration.
Right, but the actual numbers, the actual data.
Yeah, historic lows. I heard it. Folks, real quick, live and unfiltered special guest, Ryan Weaver. This guy's a country music star, motivational speaker. He's a Black Hawk pilot. You haven't heard his music, go listen to it. It's great. This guy's opinionated. He's awesome. He's going to be on the show Thursday night. Everyone will be here. Amy, Leroy, and Olivia, I believe, will all be here for this if they can. But Ryan's going to be here. We're going to do a recorded show from 7 to 8, and then we're going to be live at 8 o'clock. Stop on by. Please tell your friends. It's going to be a great show. We want to have you here. Listen, I'm just going to put a bow on this with Jen Psaki. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Jen Psaki, and I'll put this as the best way. I had my mentor who said, Matt, you cannot run a multi-million-dollar business on 40 hours a week. You need to work more.
Right.
That's what he told me. And I said, okay. And I learned that lesson early. He's like, you're a district manager. You run a $17 million operation. You cannot run it on 40 hours. He's like, however, if you're doing it 50 hours a week, you're doing it wrong. So you have to find that happy medium on how to run your company. 45 hours is a good place to start. That's what I expect from you. 5 hours of overtime, 40 hours a week. And I learned that a long time ago, that you need to adjust. And there's times I've worked 80. There's times I've worked 60. There's times I've worked 45. That's the way it works. Joe Biden cannot fucking run the country on 9 to 5. The fact that Jen Psaki openly admitted that this guy doesn't do anything before 9 a.m. is an absolute travesty to the presidency. Because let me tell you, Donald Trump, that guy was up at 5 a.m. every single morning, and he was up at fucking 1 and 2 texting. The guy got 3 to 4 hours of sleep, and I'd have never seen it from any human being in my life. Obama worked his ass off. Obama was up at 05, 06 and was not in bed till 11 or 12 o'clock at night. You can say whatever you want about Obama. Bush was the same way. So was Clinton. So was Reagan. You worked 17 to 18 hours a day. That's why these guys go in looking like Rock Hudson and end up looking like the Rock from Neverending Story, the Rock Biter. They look like shit by the end of this.
Yeah.
If Joe Biden is waking up at 9 o'clock, it should be that he is unable to fulfill his job duties. Don't give me this shit that he's awake at 11 o'clock. They put a lid on shit at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on this administration. I've never seen this guy up past 11 o'clock in my life. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree.
I would completely agree with you. I would say that anybody who has ever witnessed anybody or anybody who's ever run a business, something to the tune of what Matt is talking about, a Fortune 500 company. When we're talking about the Jeff Bezos of the world, people hate him, but didn't he earn it? Dude worked like a demon, 100 hours a week for decades to build that business to what it is. And so, when it's easy to criticize people like that. There's that famous Theodore Roosevelt poem called "The Man in the Arena." But the fact of the matter is, when we're talking about running a country, you get voted into office to do exactly that. It is your promissory note to the American public that you're going to be that guy that works 80, 90 hours a week. That's what we expect of you. That's the job.
Yeah.
Just my take.
When the call comes at 3 a.m., what am I going to be doing?
Right.
Trying to cover up things about Vince Foster. So,
Totally agree.
Yeah, it's bullshit. No. It's just Olivia, you got to take on this from a mother. Like, give us your day. Give us your run of the mill day. You're not president, but you're a mom.
Oh gosh. Up at 6:30 to make sure Ethan gets up, which he usually sleeps in. Got to get him ready, make his lunch, get him to the bus. Then I got to make sure Hayden is up and going. Then if I'm lucky, I will go lay back down for a little bit because I'm exhausted, because I usually don't go to bed till like 2:30. But then after that, I'm up and I am either cleaning the house, going grocery shopping, laundry. God, I hate laundry. Laundry is a suck hole of life. Anyway, that's how I really feel. That's how If there was one chore I didn't have to do ever again, it would be laundry.
Okay, can we just get to your schedule? Jeez, I feel like I need to get off the phone and go do laundry.
Mr. Spear ever dealt you the occasional skid mark? That's all we want to know. I'm kidding. Don't answer that.
I wear dark colored underwear, big guy. There's no way to tell unless you do the sniff test. So.
Yeah, but then it's the kids get home from school, make sure they do their homework, get them a snack, then start making dinner. And then Ethan's got taekwondo. Hayden's got play practice, got to go pick her up. Now Ethan's starting baseball, has practice 3 days a week. Hayden's got play practice 4 days a week. And then got to get ready for bed for Ethan, then Hayden. And then I listen to the show and I spend time with my husband, and we usually don't go to bed till 2:30.
AKA sex.
That's a morning thing.
Sometimes, but it depends. It depends if we're in the mood. So listen, Joe Biden, that's a housewife. That's what every single housewife does in the United States every single day. I don't even want to get into my schedule and how many hours I put into this show, what Amy does, what Leroy does. We all can sit here and talk about what we do, and it's horrific. Joe Biden, for Jen Psaki to sit up there and say, oh, well, Joe Biden doesn't get started until 9 a.m. You cannot run a country from 9 to 5. And this guy, 433 vacation days so far in 2 years. That's him leaving the White House and going to Delaware or Philadelphia or Boston, where they found a whole nother 9 boxes of documents, by the way, which nobody heard about because that was completely ghosted on the media. But this guy has taken 431. I don't want to hear about Donald Trump golfing ever again. Ever.
Yeah. And my 9-year-old and 6-year-old have already done 45 minutes of schoolwork by the time Joe Biden's out of bed.
It's unreal.
They work harder than our president. Just saying.
I will say this, that, Donald Trump never collected a paycheck.
Nope.
Right.
So it's easy for people to criticize the guy for maybe taking in a golf outing. But let's face it, I mean, his policies really were pretty good. And the fact of the matter is, we had the strongest economy. My topic tonight, had we gotten that far, would have been these banking collapses that are happening in New York and in California. Fact of the matter is, 2-3 years ago, that probably wouldn't have happened. And so it's easy to look at someone like Trump and say, oh, man, the guy's always golfing. Yeah, but he's also not taking a check, and everything is going really well. Here, We've got the opposite of that. Here, we've got banking collapse after another banking collapse. There's 2 of them, right? We've got the Russia invading Ukraine. We were dealing with hordes at the border. Fentanyl, all-time high. Inflation all-time high, and here we've had the most vacation days taken by a president that I can recall in 20 years, maybe longer.
And there's a difference between vacation and convalescent leave for his own ambulatory weakness. I mean, this guy's fallen up the stairs like 16 times. Listen, he's going to run for president. By the way, it is now pretty much confirmed.
Get him out. Ready? Are you ready? Get him out of here! Get him out of here! Get the hell out of here!
I just want to let you know, 2.5 years ago, I made a prediction, and all of it is coming true. Ron DeSantis is running for president. And if you don't know that, it's pretty much 100% confirmed. So just remember what I said about Nikki Haley, what I said about Ron DeSantis. And I'm telling you, it's 40 years of watching politics and knowing what America wants. And I'm telling you, if you put DeSantis and Nikki Haley on the ticket, we will have the White House for 12 to 16 years. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm just letting you know right now, 12 to 16 years. If you put Trump on the ticket, I don't know if we can even win 2024 unless he picks an amazing VP. And he has been, listen, Trump's been doing very well the last 3 months. He's pivoted. He has pivoted. He went to Ohio. He shut his effing mouth and just handed out water and did what Trump does. He has stopped really nailing. Now, Mike Pence has went after him. Mike Pence has openly said, I think I'll testify to January 6th now against Trump. He has went after Trump and said he's unelectable. Mike Pence is going for the throat. And Trump has been relatively pretty decent and not said anything that truly, I mean, Pence has gotten in trouble. Pence has gotten in trouble for some homophobic comments that they said were homophobic, for making fun of Pete Buttigieg. And basically,
him and Ben Shapiro could be on the show together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a little excessive there, Leroy. I think it's a little excessive. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, it's Mike Pence now is taking the spotlight just like I thought it would. Trump now needs to sit back and shut up and let these guys whack each other. Nikki Haley is being smart. She said she wanted to raise the age on Social Security, and that wasn't very popular, but she's creating conversation. Everybody's the ones who are smart are sitting back. DeSantis, Trump, and Haley are kind of zipping their lips, and they're letting Hogan, they're letting these other back runners. Scott's going to get involved in this. This will grow. I think DeSantis running is you're gonna have to either have a DeSantis and Trump ticket, which I don't think is a winning ticket, or you're gonna either have to have a Nikki Haley. If it's Marjorie Taylor Greene and Trump, it's a losing ticket. If it's Carrie Lake and Trump, it's a losing ticket. Everyone in the Republican Party agrees with me from 2.5 years ago that I said a woman has to be on the vice presidential ticket for Republicans because it's what they want. They want to show what a woman can do, a real woman, not Kamala fucking Harris, but a real woman. Go ahead, Olivia.
So Rhonda just said DeSantis isn't ready to be president. I think he might bow to McConnell. Trump never will. McConnell's not. It's McCarthy now, not McConnell. So
no, McConnell's Senate Majority Leader, honey.
Oh, okay.
McCarthy's House. Why do you think Ron DeSantis would bow to McConnell? Has Ron DeSantis bowed to anybody? Listen, he won re-election without Trump. It was a fucking landslide. Yes, Trump helped DeSantis. And everyone needs a mentor. And Trump is an amazing strategist. But you have to understand that there are times that the mentor will snatch the pebble from the hand. You know, the rookie the grasshopper will fucking snatch the pebble from the hand. I'm not saying DeSantis is the answer. What I'm trying to tell you is this is all playing out like it looked like it was going to in 2021, 2020. And I don't know if it's a bad thing for the Republican Party. I just don't know why people hate on DeSantis. Oh, he took money from Soros. No, he didn't. Oh, he took an endorsement from Soros. No, he didn't. Just because Soros endorses somebody, don't you think that's what he wants to do? And do you know how much dark money comes into election campaigns that's actually seeded from Democrats? They do that. They fund the candidate that's going to create the most opposition to the party. They want this. Stop dividing Republicans against Republicans. Right. Let's support the best honest debate we can have and then see who wins.
Let the left eat its own, but if you are someone who leans right, then let meritocracy rule the day.
So everyone who says that Ron DeSantis promised to be governor, so you're trying to tell me, and he's a liar. Do you know how many politicians have left office early? Mike Pence did it.
And I don't think he ever said that. I think he said, I'm focusing on the governorship right now, and I'm not going to say anything about.
He did say in his pre-election promises that if he won governor, he was going to stay. But things change. Okay. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and lose the presidency because Ron DeSantis made a stupid promise that he shouldn't have. Times were different. Things were changed. I don't care. I want the best person to win. I want them to argue. I want them to debate, and I want the best person to beat Democrats, period.
You know what they're doing? They're playing right into the hands of Fox News. Yeah. Fox News every single day goes after Kamala Harris, trying to portray her as inept and some kind of bumbling fool. She's not. That's not who she is. And so Democrats have got to come out and reinforce Kamala. They've got to stop playing into the hands of these people who cannot stand that she is the first woman of color vice president and don't want her to succeed. And by the way, her husband is great too.
There's the problem right there, though.
Right.
Is that they're elevating.
Go ahead, Leroy.
They're elevating her sex and her color above her policies.
Yes, Leroy. That's exactly what I was going to say.
I really do. I love Venn diagrams.
You got to
It's
wait till
just
people are
something
done
about
talking.
those three circles.
Do it again.
What I said was that
I love Venn diagrams.
Not you.
I'll shut up.
I really do. I love Venn diagrams. It's just something about those three circles and the analysis about where there is the intersection, right? Yeah, I see people that you agree with me, right?
All right. Go ahead, Leroy. Amy, somebody.
What I said was that was the problem, is that television show just openly placed her sex and her color above her policies. That's the problem.
And I said, they're the party who doesn't recognize sex anymore. So just because she's the woman vice president doesn't mean anything because women are being erased. So
what's a woman?
Well, there's no such thing as a woman anymore. And she's
100%, right.
And
So
is
who
she
cares?
black? I'm sorry, is she
I don't
black?
know.
Is there something that I'm missing? Isn't she
I'm just so
Jamaican?
tired of bullshit.
Okay, so here's the other thing. Ron DeSantis of Florida said on September 30th, 2021, that he didn't plan on running for president in 2024. That's different. He also made an election campaign promise that if he won governor, that he wouldn't seek nomination for president. Folks, listen to me. If you're going to sit here and tell me that that is your stopping point and you want a Democrat in office, this is ridiculous. Politicians say things. All are politicians. Ron DeSantis has done more for this country. I don't understand why you guys are looking. Really what you want to do is just admit it that you want Trump to win. Nobody else can do the job. You feel that Trump is the only person who can be president. But let me tell you this. In 4 years, Trump can't run for president again. He's going to be too old. He's too old now, to be honest with you. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that, you need to realize that we need to move on at some point. So when do you want to do it? Maybe you need to pull that tooth. You're talking about someone who is he's not popular. And there is a large opposition, and you're going to activate the left. They hate him. It would be like Hillary Clinton running again. Can you imagine the right, how they would uniform?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
If I had to take a guess, I would say that if Trump didn't win, you would see a percentage of people less voting. But the moment Trump announces that he's going to run again, then that number would jump from 100 million people to 150 million people, and that 50 would probably be in opposition. That's
right. Only thing we care about is a constitutional president. And listen, do you really want me to pick apart some of the things that Trump did that were unconstitutional? Does anyone really want me to go ahead and dive into some things? He did. And if you want to talk about bump stocks, we can talk about bump stocks. If you want to talk about some of the consolidations he wanted to make with DACA and the border and allowing 1.8 million current residents to be Americanized, that goes against the Constitution. You want to talk about some of the things that he did with the press and wanting to limit free speech, even though he was one of the most accessible presidents ever in U.S. history as far as bringing the press in. Some of the things that he wanted to do with the press wasn't necessarily First Amendment right.
It was under
Trump didn't go after Trump didn't go after the social media companies. He didn't.
It was under. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, dude, go.
I was going to say under his watch. It was when we heard 2 weeks to flatten the curve, which I felt was wrong, very wrong.
Yeah. There's some things that Trump did so don't sit here and tell me he was perfect. No, Trump was not perfect. No. He was 96% perfect, and I loved his policies. But to sit here and say that he was perfect, it's ridiculous. He wasn't. Ron DeSantis isn't perfect either. He's going to make mistakes. But what I'm telling you is he doesn't take any shit from the left. And you can't sit here and tell me that he is cowtailed to the left. Please explain to me how. He went after fucking Disney. Do you know what taking Disney out of Florida would do to Florida? It would turn it into Georgia. That's like taking the gold out of freaking California in the 1800s and the gold rush. You can't do that to Florida. Yet he went after Disney and won, mind you. He went after illegal immigration.
He turned an entire state red. 26 out of 29 districts went red in Florida. It's never happened before in the history of the United States. You need to give DeSantis a little bit of credit. He's got the wife. He's got the look. He's got the polish. He's got the smarts. And he may just need you to back him. And you're going to have to come to grips with that. Because if Trump doesn't poll well, if Trump doesn't look good in the primaries, you may have to switch horses. And you better. Otherwise, we're going to be listening to.
If it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to.
You know the thing.
Anyway.
Okay.
We're going to get a lot done.
You want that for 4 more years? Now listen, Kay, I understand what you're saying. Kay says Trump got bad advice from Fauci and a lot of others advisors. Then that makes me question Donald Trump's ability to make a good decision on that. Right. See, this is the problem. Yes, he also got bad advice from the people, the Kraken and Giuliani in regards to the election and how to tackle that. And going after the constitutionality would have been a better choice, but that was day late, $1 short. That's because Donald Trump made bad choices on people he put around himself. So if you're going to sit here and tell me that Donald Trump didn't make some bad choices, you're wrong. I disagree with you 100%. But I can also see that his policies are fantastic. And I have said it from the beginning. Donald Trump would be amazing, like Obama, running the Republican Party behind the scenes. He is an amazing fundraiser. He is an amazing spokesperson. Anyone he can truly get behind that doesn't focus on stolen election in January 6th wins. His record was 100% on people that didn't say stolen election in January 6th. You want to know what his record was for people who did say stolen election in January 6th? 0. They all lost. Why? Because America doesn't want to hear this shit anymore. They want to hear policies. They don't care about January 6th. They don't care about elections. They don't care about this drama. They don't care about woke shit. They want their food prices to go down. They want inflation to go down. They want to be strong again. They want to feel secure. They want a better border. They want fentanyl out of our fucking country. And they want this grab ass of going after our kids and grooming them to stop. They don't care about stolen elections in January fucking 6th. I've been saying it for 2.5 years. And everyone berated me and chastised me. And I'm the only one on all conservative fucking networks across the country from November 3rd of 2020 till today to say the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And I have never relented, and I never fucking will. And guess what? I was right.
This was literally a case of the media portraying January the 6th as the nation, the security of the nation is in balance. January the 6th versus all the other horrible headlines, right? That was something that they used as a pivot. Thank you very much.
That wasn't for you. That was for me. She was late, though.
Oh. Why can't I get any applause?
I don't know.
I don't even care.
Go ahead. Tim says he declared the media critics enemies of the people. I don't think it was because that he was being criticized by the military that he called them the enemy of the people. It's because they falsified evidence. They lied on the national stage. Donna Brazile gave questions to Hillary Clinton. They were unfair in the debates to him, and you know that. It was 2 against 1, 3 against 1 some nights. They created the P-tapes, the Stormy Daniels, and pushing Michael Avenatti and giving him airtime. They did the whole Russian collusion story. They did a $52 million investigation against him that showed absolutely nothing. They went after people for shit 15 years ago that had nothing to do with Russian collusion. They spied on his campaign. They eavesdropped on his campaign. They created fake FISA warrants. Are you fucking kidding me? Brother Tim, I hear you, man. News. I'm with you. He declared the critics the enemies of the people, and that hasn't changed. Even with Joe Biden, the media is still the enemies of the people. They are only about the frickin' campaign dollars. They are only about the advertising dollars, and that's Fox News too. So if you want to sit here and tell me that the media is not completely biased and complicit in the way the country is today, I'm sorry, brother. I've got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn, and it's beautiful, and it's made of brass and gold. Go ahead.
Under Obama, we had record high inflation. We had the 2008 crisis. There were so many financial issues that were held against the American public. And then that largely went away, right? After Trump was voted in, right? Most people ended up in a healthier financial position. And that was something that I'm not a huge fan of Steven Crowder, but that was one thing that he got right. He basically said at one point, look, if people say that the Democrats are the party for the poor people and Republicans are the party for the rich people, then it behooves Republicans to try and make more rich people. If the Republicans are the party for the rich people, they want everyone to have more money.
Okay,
versus the
Karen
Democrats.
says,
if the Democrats are the party for the poor people, then they need people to remain poor.
It just makes sense. Karen says, nothing is more important than election integrity, all caps. Sorry, not sorry. I don't understand that statement. Sorry, not sorry. Nobody wants you to be sorry. Everyone here agrees with you that election integrity is important, but what you're saying, you don't have any evidence for. Now, they wouldn't hear listen, I've done this. I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing I have earned the right never to talk about the election again unless somebody calls in. So if you want to have a conversation, call. We have a caller on right now. Caller, where are you from and what's your name?
Mel from Canada.
Oh, Mel. Can somebody call in who just wants to defend the election? I'm so tired of people agreeing with me all the time. Hi, Mel.
I got to run for a second again. My kid's not feeling well. I'll be right back. I'll take my
Mel,
place
what do you
for a
want to
minute.
talk about? Mel, what do you want to talk about?
Amy was just chatting, so.
No, Amy's leaving. She's coming back. She's got to go Tweety. Go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
No, I'm just thinking about all of this new stuff. And I have a question for all of the audience going, so if Ron DeSantis vacates his governorship, who he's now actually really done so astronomically well there to turn that whole state basically red.
Yep.
Who is going to be his successor, and what is that going to do to the whole dynamics of the political maelstrom it's now going on in the states?
Senate seats are locked up. House seats would be available for 2 years. You're not going to go ahead and transfer that. Nothing's wrong with Florida. It's exactly the same way it is. It's producing GNP. It's on a pace within the next 10 years to surpass California if this keeps up. Everything is on the up and up. You're not going to see a shift in the policy in Florida, even if DeSantis decides to give up. DeSantis, the lieutenant governor, I'd have to do some research on them. I don't know. I don't care. I would rather have a federally influenced position from the presidency for veto power and to take away the small business throttling that's going on, the border issues that he can actually use with executive orders because it's in the Constitution. We need the president to be a Republican. We have the House. We will continue to have the House. And honestly, the Senate is up for grabs better than it's ever been. It looks like a full red House, Senate, and presidency if we do this right. I don't care. That's my gut. I don't care about Florida. No offense. I know Floridians are going to be like, oh, Matt, how dare you say that? You know what? I don't care. Because the union is more important than one singular state. And when it comes to this, with the shit that's happening in the state of the world today with China, Iran, and fucking Russia, I want a strong president. I want a wartime president on the helm for the next 4 years. I need that. Hey, go ahead. What do you think?
Real quick.
No, and we all do. North of the border here, because as you know, our useless whatever, we're all rooting for what is happening south of the border. As much as most of you don't know, but we do. We're rooting for, we need to get rid of Biden. We need to get rid of Trudeau. We need to get rid of all of this bullshit that's going on. I'm just really kind of nervous because with the ones that were running against DeSantis in his last election were suspect. So I'm like, so will that change the dynamic in that state to maybe turn it purple, maybe?
No.
And also, is it really a good time for, I love Ron DeSantis. I think he is astronomical.
Great, then let's have him for president.
But but I'm thinking for the long game, can we get 4 years out of the retread and then go 8 more so we get 12 years?
You believe Donald Trump's electable, Mel?
At this point right now, yes, I think so.
How?
I'm very skeptical, but I'm like, with all this going on with the Silicon Valley Bank thing going on, and
that's what we thought in 2020. Mel, I got to interrupt tonight because I've got some tired people and I'm trying to get through them. That's what we said in 2022. The red wave, right? The red wave that never happened.
Right.
We can't take risks.
Nope.
You either go with a sure thing, but Donald Trump is not a sure thing. Donald Trump is a very big risk when it comes to you're going to ignite the left. The left outnumber us. Does everyone understand that the leftists outnumber Republicans?
Yeah.
And I understand that they have left they've left the Democratic Party in droves, but because of New York and California, they outnumber us from a sheer population perspective. There are more liberals in the U.S. and more voting liberals in the U.S. than conservatives. You need to understand and embrace that. And unless we can get the Christians and the gun owners to all unite and the pro-lifers to all come under one banner, we are going to be in a world of hurt. And problem is that the Christians were not inspired to come out for Trump. The women, suburban women, were not inspired to come out for Trump. And I don't think he's changed enough to get the suburban women to come out for him. Now you're like, I'm a suburban woman and I voted for him. We know. We're not talking about you. We're talking about the majority. And Patricia D. Kiko, whatever, the person's mom on my freaking left. I can't take your shit anymore. Will you please fucking lose my channel? I have dealt with you. People who disagree with you get angry. I'm not fucking, now I'm angry because you're a fucking ass. You're annoying. You're a fucking liberal.
She missed the first half of the show. She was going on about, that was what I was going to address, was that, hey, we have a listener who is asking, why is everything about male versus female? Well, that was because that was the point of the show tonight. It was about a Ben Shapiro episode where he was criticizing homosexuality, and we actually went against him. So
stop counting men. Okay, I don't care about she sucks too much time out of this show. Gene says stop counting unvetted mail-in ballots. I'm counting registered voters, and it's a simple thing for you to look up. Just look it up. I'm not trying to. Why do you think everyone who doesn't line up with your talking points is trying to deceive you? I'm just telling you facts. There are more Democrats than Republicans in the United States as far as voting, and I have not. That's not based on 2020's numbers. That's just fact. And if you do allow mail, you better hope that the Supreme Court of the United States, who's hearing about mail-in ballots, reject mail-in ballots for these states, and that the state constitutions have to roll back to 2020 because that's why they won the election. Whether you know it or not, that's why. It has nothing to do with Dominion. It has nothing to do with stolen ballots. It has to do with the constitutionality of selling out and sending 50 million fucking ballots to the blue counties in the swing states. That's what took place. And if you would just follow the paper trail, the state constitutions were all changed. Why do you think the Republicans were fighting this? Please go look it up. Please don't make me tell you this again, or call in and let's have this conversation because it's so much easier than dealing with text. If you want to know what happened, call in, because you know what? You love Mark Levin. I know you do. Well, guess what? Mark Levin agrees with me. Everything I've said. Want to know why? Because I've been saying it months before he did. Mel, you got anything else, sister?
No, Mark, and you, and well, and I know Tucker's not one of your faves, but you guys are all in lockstep. You've nailed it. It's no mail-in ballots. It's done. Like that's
what we've got to stop.
Yeah, that's the sewer for the Republican Party, and if they can't fight fire with fire, well, yeah, got to get at her. Cause
you just got to stop the ability for people to get a mail-in ballot who are unregistered, because that changes the entire dichotomy. This is why some of these blue districts won 90-10. It hasn't happened in any election from a state, local, city, municipality, or federal election ever, a 90-10 sweep. It's just not the way it works. You can go into the most liberal of neighborhoods and you can find conservatives, and you can go in the most conservative neighborhood and find liberals. That's the way it works. A 90-10 split is the most ridiculous thing. Voters are pretty much either 60-40 or right down the middle. That's the way it works. And that's the way it's been forever. And to see this 90-10 split, the only way for that to happen is cheating, which you can't prove on that scale, or mail-in ballots going to unregistered voters, which you can. And I'll just tell you one thing, and I won't talk about the election anymore. Here it is. What is the largest election from a turnout that we've ever had in the world or in the United States?
Joe Biden.
Before 2020, 119 million. What's the lowest we've had in the last 100 years? About 92 million. We had 178 million people vote. Right there, that tells you. It tells you that mail-in ballots were the answer. And if the Democrats get their way, they will do mail-in ballots again because it allows unregistereds to mail from home, and they're lazy and they won't drive into a ballot or they won't drop it off at a polling center. That is what we need to be concerned with. And if we can stop the mail-in ballots, I promise you this, it limits the amount of votes that the Democrats will be able to send out to unregistered people. This is why they don't want voter ID, folks. It's simple. Right. Just find out what they don't want, and you're going to find out how they cheat. And cheating is this. It's unconstitutional, but it's unprecedented. It doesn't have precedent. So therefore, it's not illegal. That is what the Supreme Court is going to hear at the end of March. And they will be able to establish whether this is legal going forward or not. So pray that we have, and let me tell you, I got to do this. Everyone told me the reason why they put Coney Barrett, the reason why they put Gorsuch, and the reason why they put freaking Brett Kavanaugh on there was because of abortion. No, that had nothing to do with it.
No.
And it had nothing to do with guns either. The only three things that all of those had in common, voter ID.
Voter ID.
Trump is a smart fucking guy, and he knew, put judges with voter ID because that was going to change elections. Folks, this is chess, and I'm sorry that you're upset, and I'm sorry that your butt hurt, and I'm sorry that you think you're the only one with the answers, but guess what? I live, eat, and breathe this shit.
And you're totally right. And the thing is, Washington, D.C. is trying to allow non-citizens to vote. And what people don't understand, they think it's the Mexicans and the whatever that are crossing the border. What they don't understand is it's all the diplomats, the Russians, the Chinese, the French, the whatever, to get to vote in their local elections, which is totally... It's not mail-in ballots alone that are the problem. It's unsolicited that are the problem in the sense that they're unregistered. Folks, I know Republicans are going after the mail-in vote. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm using shorthand. Of course, we need to embrace mail-in voting. What we can't is do unsolicited votes. That is what we cannot do. We cannot allow unregistered voters to vote. Go ahead, Leroy.
The fact of the matter is that any ballot that was cast without some sort of supporting evidence that said we checked this person's ID technically should not be allowed. You have to be a citizen in order to vote. And it's really hard to enforce that when we're talking about mail-in voting. There are so many loopholes that could be unenforced, right?
That's right.
And that's part of the problem.
And if you're not willing to get in your vehicle or willing to go get an ID or willing to go to the DMV and register to vote or your local school or library, then you don't deserve to vote. Not everyone gets the right to vote unless you execute that right. And the standards are to go down and prove you're an American citizen and vote in most places. But when you send out a ballot and says vote and fill it out and return and it'll be counted, although every one of those people deserve the right to vote, they have not done the necessary steps within that state to vote. And that is the problem. And if you look at the number of votes and the disparity between, it's so easy to figure out. People, what they don't do is that they look at other things. They look at voting machines. They look at ballot seals and stamps and Dominion servers and Soros in Buenos Aires and Nashville bombings at the Ma Bell Center. What they don't look at is just look at the sheer number of votes and do 2 + 2. It equals 4. We saw the most amount of votes ever in a U.S. election, and there's only one answer is how it happened. And you can't prove it from election fraud. It's too big. What you can do is do it from unsolicited votes and mail-in ballots. Amy, last word, 1 minute.
Sorry, I missed everything when Mel came on. Sorry. So I don't believe in all the election fraud. I do believe that things were done not above board. I don't really know where we are with this. Sorry.
I'm just giving you 1 minute. I'm just giving you 1 minute. You can talk about anything you want.
Gotcha. Sorry, my kiddo's feeling a little under the weather, so I've had to jump up a couple times.
Do you need to go? You simply say, I got to go.
I mean, he's fine. It's like this ongoing issue. So it's fine. He's okay. Anyways, my last minute. Well, great to be here after the weekend. I missed you guys. Yep. I think it was a great show tonight. I enjoyed this very much, and I think people really need to take a look and examine not just their own party that they belong to or that they believe the most in, but I think we need to also re-examine the other side too, because I we call them out a lot. We're always on the defense a lot with like, well, they said this, so we can't, we have to go this way, or we have to stand strong because they said they always feel this way. But really, we really need to take a look at why they're saying these things and call them out on the bigger issues. It's like Leroy and I pointing out Kamala Harris. You can't say there's no gender roles anymore and then carry the title of the first female Black vice president. You don't get to have that title. That's it.
They just did that with that actor who said she identifies as Asian and she's Asian. And they're like, no, that goes back to a 1904 film. And I'm like, people, she's Asian. Who cares? Yeah. Who cares? Well, she felt she had to do this because an actor from 1940 did. Well, then that's her own fault. I don't give a shit. Who cares? She's Asian. Congratulations. I did write a post on Twitter. I said, no wonder why I watched this film and 1 hour later I wanted to watch it again.
What that basically says is that person didn't get famous then because of their talents. They got famous because they're Asian. That's what you're saying.
Right.
Tim Barkowski, real quick, says, attention was, check out what he said about John McCain's service. Did he serve? Okay. You're just as bad as the people say, DeSantis said he wasn't going to run for president, therefore he can't. He's a liar now. You're using one. Listen, you want me to go ahead and defend Donald Trump's character? No, not going to do it. Never. I've never defended the way he talks and the way he acts. I don't think, listen, I love it. It's great. Makes great TV and makes my show better. But honestly, you're right. Trump can be an asshole, but you know what? Maybe that's what we need sometimes. Not this guy.
That's the problem. That's the problem. I saw a roundtable with Jordan Peterson where Prager was there, and he had actually pointed that out. He said we need to stop voting for leaders based on their popularity, because the best leaders aren't people that are popular. They're the ones who get things done.
I don't care.
And that was
Trump.
Trump.
You don't like Trump. I don't care. You don't like Trump.
That was Trump in a big way. He was not likable, and that's okay.
You want a likable guy who doesn't do anything? That's Biden. And you know what? Right. He was likable. Now we all despise him because honestly, it's not even his fault. It's kind of like Fetterman. He doesn't even know where he's at. I'm not going to sit here and defend Joe Biden. He lies to everybody every single day about the economy. At least Donald Trump lied about who he diddled. Okay. I don't care. Bill Clinton did that. Bill Clinton was a great president, so don't sit here and tell me that you want somebody pure of heart because you fucking love Bill Clinton. You're such a hypocrite, Tim. Tim, you wouldn't even come on this show. This is the problem I have, is that if you have balls, come on the show. Patricia won't come on this show because that'll last about 2 seconds. You can snipe from afar all you want, but it doesn't mean you're right. Just because you're emotional doesn't mean you're right. Olivia, get your time out and then we're done.
I have one thing to say about the stolen election. Yeah, that's about how I feel about it, and it needs to stop being talked about. It's been 2.5 years. Shut up. No one fucking cares anymore. Done. That's how I feel about it.
Focus on what's coming. I mean, it's simple.
I do have one more thing to say.
She has one more thing to say.
Rhonda made a comment quite a while ago, and I started laughing, but I couldn't get it in to say anything. She said The View, where the 3 most angry women on TV are ironically named Whoopi, Sunny, and Joy.
Yeah, no shit. That is really well said. That is a meme. You know what? I'm going to make that meme tonight. Rhonda, fantastic point. I'm going to make a meme tonight. I bet it goes viral. Listen, everybody. I want to thank Olivia for what she does. I constantly am like, honey, play this, play. She's learning. She's doing a great job. I love her chime-ins. Amy, I love you. I adore you. I know how busy you are, and I know how hard this is for you, and I thank you so much, and you're still trying to be a mom. You're awesome. Leroy, you're just a staple. It's just who you are. You're a rock, and I love you, and I appreciate you too.
Thank you, brother.
That's it. Love the fans.
Leroy, this is for you.
Yeah,
so you feel appreciated.
Was there the zip in there? I didn't get that.
They didn't hear it because I don't think can you guys not hear that now?
No.
No, there was no sound.
Nothing.
Hold on.
This is for you.
Hold on.
Which is for
I gotta
giving
make sure.
you finger.
Broadcast system. Okay, go ahead and do it again, Olivia.
Wow.
And do the other thing that you said about the election real quick. Hold on. You got to hear this one. Go do it. Okay, so here. You got to say what you're going to say.
Oh my gosh. Shut up.
Now, just redo the whole thing, Olivia, so they
what I
understand because they
think-
didn't hear it. Go.
Okay, this is what I think about the stolen election.
Oh my gosh. Shut up.
There it is. There it is. A
t-shirt
tweener
idea.
baby. Yeah.
We need a Venn diagram shirt. We don't have one.
I will make a Venn diagram shirt. And I'll be like, I love Venn diagrams. I'm going to make it. Okay, so I'll get a Venn diagram shirt. I'll do that other thing. Folks, here's the other thing. Please do me a favor. Stop on by the Don't Unfriend Me show. Obviously, Thursday night, March 16th, 8 o'clock, we will have Ryan Weaver on the show. Unfiltered, unafraid. I think that's somebody else's show. You can go to the Don't Unfriend Me show at thedumshow.com. Buy yourself shirt, hat, all that, coffee. Folks, go buy the Dumb Show, please. Please, it's important. It's great clothes over there. If you need a discount code, use DUM10, DUM10. It'll save you 10%. Tim, I think there's something in here that Olivia wants to play Tim real quick. Hold on a second. She's looking for it.
We need the what's this game show music?
Ramon says, F you, Leroy. Thank you.
Oh.
No, I don't think she has it. There is one. There, I put one in there for somebody. Just give Tim an appropriate soundbite, please, so he feels special. Just give him something that really encapsulates.
On the cold and gray Chicago moon, another little baby child is born in the ghetto.
That wasn't really good, but it's funny. It's Eric Cartman. All right, everybody.
Good night.
Let's say good night, Leroy. Good night, Amy, and everyone have a wonderful evening. Good night, everybody.
Love
God
you,
bless.
dummies. You guys take care of yourselves.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Great show. Appreciate you.
Love you.
Very,
Good night.
very much.
Love you guys. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets.
We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important, you are important.
For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call.
Real quick, sorry, got to get this. Wow, great. I don't know what's my thing doing. It's weird. Okay, we've got Cindy Young that says. Now let me make sure I understand real quick. And look, Cindy says, I was happy to hear about the 7-day mandate for Biden. You are so generous. I bet $1 you give your wife everything. Don't say the D word. Me too. Laugh my ass off. Okay. So she says, are you sure this is not a comedy show? Lots of laughs. I love it. Cindy, I want to tell you, I appreciate it. I've seen your comments. I've never seen so much positivity. You've been making comments most of the night, all positive. I'm sure you didn't agree with everything, but that's what I'm talking about. That's fun. You don't always have to agree with me. And I think Patricia's comment just shows that she's a lefty and she's completely entrenched, and she has been for quite a while. She doesn't like me very much. She thinks I'm a misogynist.
Is she the one who called you misogynist?
I don't know. She's the one. Well, it's somebody's mother on the show. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. Somebody's mom on the show. And it doesn't start with the following. I'm going to be very, 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 very circumspect here and try to make sure that nobody gets picked up on this. It doesn't start with Amy, and it doesn't start with Olivia.
I was going to say, it's not my mom.
No, your mom wouldn't call on the show. But, and it just despises me because I don't agree with her, and I don't let her get away with her shit. She rubs me the wrong way. Folks, if you want to talk, the number's right there. Mel called tonight and she could hear, we were just scrambling and going, I want to get people who actually believe that their party platform is right. And if you're a Democrat and you believe that you're proud of where the country's going, you're proud of what your party's doing, get on here and defend your party. But you won't. And that's the problem. And so in that way, it is a comedy show, and it is a very large comedy at times. Folks, God bless. I will see you. I just want to come on. Go to the Dumb Show. Oh, crap. Somebody's calling in. Here it is. All right, go ahead. Who's calling? What's your name? Who's calling? Chris from Cleveland. What's up, man? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. Hey, I noticed you were picking up on Patricia's comments.
Hold on. Hold on a second. You got to mute.
I know it took a second.
Okay, go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. I noticed you were picking up on Patricia's comments.
Yeah, she's been listening for quite a while, and she's the matriarch of one of our hosts here. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I understand. She will get there. I'll get her to come around.
No, you don't need to get her to come. No. I don't want you to get her to come around. I want you to get her to take the personal attacks that she lobs against me and to stop, because ultimately
I understand.
It's disrespectful. I treated you with respect. You and I butted heads before. And,
absolutely. And
it changed when you treat me a certain way, I'll treat you. But if you want to start shit with me, bro, I'll fucking bring it. You get what you put into me. And if you're a dick, I'm going to be a dick right back. And if you're kind, I'll be kind to you. But I just don't tolerate bullshit, Chris.
It's a two-way street. But yeah, no, I got you.
No, man. I started off with her with ma'am and yes, ma'am, and complete respect. No, it's not a two-way street. She's never given me an ounce of respect. And honestly, I've heard that this isn't uncommon in her family either. So I don't need. She's not my mother. She's yours. So you guys deal with her. Cool.
I understand what you're saying, sir. Yes.
It's just, don't call me sir, Chris. It's Matt, and I like you, and I've always liked you. And honestly, I like Patricia. I like her fire, but she's not my. Do you understand the level of abuse that I had from my own mother? Why the hell would I put up with somebody else's? You know what I mean?
She's not your mother. That shouldn't be even a thought in your head. I know she does try to. Oh, what's a good word for it?
Stir shit up. Manipulate the conversation. Force her opinion on other people. I don't care if she agrees with me. She doesn't have to. She can disagree, but she can do it with a level of respect. She doesn't need to call me a sexist, a misogynist. She doesn't call me a right-winger, a Trumper. None of that shit's necessary. So, Chris, this is a deep-seated issue. I'm not going to trounce your mom. That's your job to deal with that shit. But when she comes into my world, she's just, I don't care who she is, male, female, gay, straight, lesbian, Muslim, Christian. Everyone's a target if you want to go ahead and put me in your crosshairs. Is that fair?
I got you.
All right, Bubba. Hey, have a good night, Chris. Thanks for calling, dude. And much respect. Thanks for calling in tonight.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, Chris. Bye. All right, folks. That's the way it is. That's what happens sometimes. People don't agree, but you know what? We'll all get over it. Good night, everybody. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe, if this damn thing will play. Good night.